3, we live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome to the Debrief Show. All right, as usual, we take a couple minutes to just share the links, just let people know we are on live, and we go from there. Okay, good. Okay, so we just want to take a couple minutes, but we want to say good evening to each and every one of you. As usual, if you see any technical glitches, feel free to let us know. We always welcome the feedback so we can fix any and all problems with using technology. And as we know, everybody knows seemingly using technology. So what that means, everybody on technology.
That's right.
Yeah, so it slows down us a little sometimes, and it don't make us go fast enough. So we depend on you to help us. We ask that you share the link. It is on the Brief TV show. You can share the link with as many persons as possible. Share the link with me. Share the link on our pages so that we can engage. It is on my page as well, Kimar Safri.
Right.
It's shared to my timeline. I'm going to also share to a couple groups as well. So you can go on the DLP page if you want. The speak out now. Goes to, yeah. So we're just going to go to a few public groups. So people are waiting for this discussion to happen. Yeah, we got everybody all set.
Over there, right?
Yeah, all set. So he comes in and just move on. All right, so you just give us a few seconds. We're gonna have an interesting discussion today. We obviously got some interesting topics to discuss. So as I said, we want to engage you. We want you to share the link. Please share. The more people you share to, the more we have interesting discussion. We don't want you to keep it to yourself. Share it, so we can have a good show. Yeah, and again, for all those who know logging on, good evening to one and all. Yeah, so you guys just taking a few seconds. So again, this is technology, guys. You have to go on everything yourself. You have to do everything yourself. You have to share everywhere on your own. So this is fine. We enjoy it. We enjoy the new technology. You should see how we are set up. We use a serious tech too.
Aye.
So this show is all about tech. This show is all about tech. Yeah. So this show is all about tech and everything like that. So we want to welcome each and every one of you. Now, right, so we send out all the links, guys. We good to go?
You send in chat though.
You can send the chat.
You gotta go up on the page and just pull it from the chat. Go up on the page, go up on the Facebook page, and copy from the DeBrief Facebook page.
All right, I can do that now.
Yeah. So again, some of our guys are struggling with technology.
He's trouble.
Apparently, Jeremy, like he got somebody on that he's saying hi to, that waiting for you. So we want to just say good again, we are live, so you can just share that, copy more.
Okay, we don't have the link. Wait, no, that's not that's not you want to
copy and straight to WhatsApp chat.
WhatsApp, right. Put stress ready chat now, Debrief TV show.
Correct. It's in the TV show, don't save it to you got Andrew?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, so you shared already?
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right, so good.
Yeah,
it's in the chat. Copy the link and just send it off.
Okay,
it's
no
in the
problem.
chat. So guys,
there you go.
Good afternoon, good evening again, everybody. Welcome to the Debrief Show. We want to thank each and every one of you for joining. Now we must say some apologies. Unfortunately, one of our guests, Mr. Hassani, could not be with us based on urgent matter that arose, and he needed to give that his full attention. We accept that. One of our hosts is running late, the Manny Small, but nevertheless, you have me, Kimar Safri, your host. Next to me is Simon Allen, another host, Jermaine Beckford.
Good evening.
Another host of us, and we also have Kimar Stewart, a host in the show. Now, today is an interesting topic. We're going to be discussing the St. John Waterway. What is going on in St. John, what is going on across Barbados as it relates to the water issue, because we want to put it, the focus is going to be on St. John. We also want to bring it from some other angle. And we have a special guest in studio today to discuss with us the entire water issue in St. John. And he is former senator underneath the Democratic Labour Party, Worrell. Mr. Worrell, we want to say welcome to the show. Welcome to DeBrief.
Good evening, and thanks for having me here this evening.
Good, sir. So we want you to have your comments in. As I said, we did have other guests that could not be here due to unforeseen circumstances and circumstances beyond them. But nevertheless, we don't ever want to be seen like we cancel the show because and we would accept any guest that want to come and discuss any situation or circumstances surrounding anything. So we welcome all of our guests. Now, you understand that some people may see the political faces as it relates to the Dems seems to be taking over the show today.
The Dems are taking over the show.
Right?
We show up. We just showed
up. Show up.
Your other guests didn't show up.
Somebody said on the show earlier, no, we have a show. I didn't say it. I just said what the person said. But we have a good show to get on to people, and we are going to think. So we want your questions. Mr. Worrell is guest. He's going to be carrying us through the show. We're going to be asking some questions. So over to you, Mr. Worrell, as it relates to the issue with the St. John water issue. We heard that you were at the town hall meeting, and you made your point, and you said what you had to say at the meeting, which was attended by the chair of the Barbados Water Authority, in addition to the engineer department, and also the minister was there. It was a pretty lengthy town hall meeting, and I saw that the St. John people took the entire BWA team, including the minister, to task. Now, you are here to discuss the whole St. John as seemingly the lead voice in St. John as it relates to your party in this water woe. Give us an insight. What do you think? Give us your opening, and then let's delve in. People, we want to hear from you. Bring your comments. Direct them at the Mr. Worrell. Andre was this Tata said? Andre
in his earlier life, he said that pipes are at Bomiston, which is good, but where the pipes that Lowe said that they bring in from Miami are really money.
Another question from Pat Paris.
Well,
Right.
Please ask Mr. Worrell how long St. John was having this water issue and why did he not deal with it when he was in the Senate. We're going to get to all those questions and those statements. But before we do, please give Mr. Worrell a chance.
Mr. Worrell, your opening statement.
To open the batting, Lord. He's still in the pavilion. Let him come up now and
play. He should always be ready to bat our board.
He ready. We're going to get big wicket.
Yes, sir.
So the floor
is yours.
The floor is yours, boy.
Okay,
yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Kimar, and also the other hosts of the DeBrief show. And I'm glad that you saw the importance of having this discussion on the St. John water woes. Now, I live in St. John. I've lived there for all of my life. And this is the first time that I have ever suffered the indignity of having to depend on a bucket for a bath for the last 6 months. Okay? Now, a lot of people in Barbados do not seem to understand that St. John right now is plagued with a problem that we have not really seen for a very long time. When other parishes are getting water, like St. Michael and Christchurch, St. Philip, and other areas have been getting water consistently, we in St. John, and in particular Sherborne, where I'm from, we have been without a consistent supply of running water for over a year. Now, when it first started, you would get the water, it would come on for periods of time during the day, and then it would go off. The BWA made an announcement that the water would be on or off, for like 4 hours and then shut off and then come back on again in the evening. They kept that for possibly a week. And then after that, this was like from July or so last year. Then after that, the water went off, came on for about 2 hours, and it was off for the rest of the day. This was primarily happening to Sherborne and Vincent Hill. For Christmas, the situation got so terrible that we had no water at all on Christmas Day, and it was off possibly for an entire week. And then we rolled into the New Year, we realized, well, we are not getting back water at all, because when you were getting the water for the 2 hours, you could live with that. But when we rolled into the new year, you weren't getting water at all. The water was off for like 4 days straight without a single drop, and we were dependent on the trucks coming in to get water. At that time, the community tanks were not there, and they brought the community tanks from January. Now, I want to zero in on Sherborne and Vincent Hill, because what made our situation very unique and somewhat weird, because in particular Vincent Hill at the lower level was the area affected by the water outage. They were not getting water. When you go up the hill to Vincent Hill, about after you pass the second house on the hill, the houses above that had water. Right? So the houses above that had water, and the houses at the bottom did not have. And when you drove out of the two communities to the neighboring communities, if I go up to Venture, there was water there. When you go across Four Roads to Pool, Cherry Grove, there was water there. And we were expected to believe that Barbados is suffering a drought. Bomiston Reservoir is so low that the only two places that can't get water is Sherborne and Vincent Hill. Also, to be fair, Glebe and St. John was also going through the same difficulty at the same time. Now, so in March, the residents from Sherborne, we did a petition. Sherborne and Vincent Hill, we did a petition complaining about it, because this was like 2 to 3 weeks that we were without water.
Just take a pin there. Paris here has said to you that I feel the pain of the people of St. John, but was pleased to see Mr. Worrell walking on the newly paved road in Pop House collecting signatures.
Thank you.
Really? Well, tell Pat that only one half of the road paved, which is the area where the trench was dig, but the rest of the road in Pot House is still pretty much in rubble. But I do not want to be distracted. The issue that we're dealing with this evening is water.
I want to ask a question, Mr. Worrell, because one of the things that concern me is the fact that we are talking about all of this water issue, and I see earlier people pose questions to us to ask as well. Now, the water issue as it relates to St. John did not start now. Now, I am hearing talks, you could confirm, that you are doing some petition as it relates to collecting signatures about the water problem in St. John. But people question the fact that you were in the Senate. Did you not see the need to hold a petition at that time for the water problem that was going on in St. John?
Well, let me put that matter to rest. Now, as I said, I've lived in St. John for all my life.
Okay.
And over the last 6 months was the first time that we've had these water issues. No. Yes, St. John, like all other areas in Barbados, especially rural parishes, we would have water issues with the water being cut at some point in time. But this is the first time that in St. John, in Sherborne where I live, that you would be without water for 3 whole months. This has never happened to us before. So
is that accurate?
I was in the
Senate. That accurate? Is you're talking about your particular area? Because I've knowing where I've done. I know David Davis. And a number of people have done water campaigns. I also did water campaigns.
Because when we had the drought,
it was longer underneath the Democratic Labour Party.
It wasn't longer. There was a drought in Barbados, which we got the major impact of that drought around 2016, probably starting 2015, 2016. That drought was primarily during the dry period. Yes, during that period of time, a number of areas had difficulty with water. So yes, the pipes would go off for probably 2 days or so, or it would go off in the evenings and come back on, and anything like that. But I'm talking about a drought situation where we have not had water for over 3 months.
Right, but are we currently in a drought?
No. What is making this situation? Yes, we are in a drought.
So,
but
can we not blame that also? Because we've seen pictures where the minister lowered into a well, which the water was below average level, which it should not be. So if we are saying that at one instance that this is the longest we went without it because of a drought, there is a drought now which is contributing to also say. I'm not making that.
Where you live, are you getting water?
That's what I want.
Where you live, are you getting water?
I am getting water, but I am getting water. But at the same time, I want to be fair and balanced to say, if we are making accusation that the government, you're saying that the longest you wait with 3 months without water, and I'm saying I was in a campaign where I was, hold on, I was in a campaign where underneath the Democratic Labour Party, there was a longer drought than the 3 months that I supplied water, and I know the water warriors also did it under David David. So I'm saying you can't say that this is the longest because I was a part of a campaign that saw 6 months.
No, the person is saying, the person that you brought the issue to me in terms of St. John, why me, being a resident for St. John, and St. John having water outages for many years, including the period of time which I was in the Senate, why did I not go around St. John with a petition then? So let's deal with that.
Let's go to there then.
During that time,
Yes or no?
I was in the Senate from 2010 to 2018. During that time, yes, you would have droughts and water off periods, but it was never to the extent that it was off for 3 months that I would feel the need to pick up a petition and go around. But this is happening now. And also, during that time when we had the drought, the Barbados Water Authority had a team called the Rapid Response Unit. It came out of the criticism back in 2016 when they felt that the government was not dealing properly with the water outages, and the Prime Minister toured St. Joseph, Prime Minister Stewart at that time, toured St. Joseph and St. Andrew and those areas affected, and a rapid response team was set up with Diane Haig as the head, who more or less brought a human face in terms of dealing with that issue. We do not have that human face from the BWA now in terms of Diane Haig, because when this current administration came to office, I found it strange because we were experiencing water outages at that time, but I think they would let her off probably in October or November or something like that. And I found it strange. Why would you get rid of a department that you will need when people in Barbados are complaining that they cannot get water?
It's true. And the
tankers. And one of the reasons why this problem has become so severe for us in St. John is because if you listen to the town hall meeting, you heard that the majority of the complaints from the residents was as a result of the service that they receive from the water authority through the tankers and the tank drivers, and even the placement of the community tanks. All of these are areas which the Rapid Response Unit, which was headed by Diane Haig, successfully as far as I'm concerned, was responsible for. But this administration chose to axe that department, and as a result, it acts a critical part of their service.
Isn't that part?
Let Kimar go, please. Let Kimar go.
All right, let me go ahead.
This is a reply to you. You were speaking about
to me?
Moses, yes.
Okay.
And water.
Raise your voice.
The Bormiston pumping station does not only fund water to St. John, it also funds water to areas in St. George. And what I found strange with the pumping station is that people in St. George and some parts of, I would say St. Joseph, gets water not every day, or every 2 days, but sometimes once a week, twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. But what he's saying is that the residents within his community does not get any water, period.
So you're saying they're being victimized?
That's not what I'm saying. So it is dumbfounding to the residents to understand why other persons who live much further are getting water, but who live close to the pumping station is not getting any water.
Okay.
Right? So that challenge is confusing the residents, and they can't understand why. There's also another pumping station in Golden Ridge in St. George, right? So the residents are asking, why can't some of the water from Golden Ridge come to fund areas in St. John?
Okay.
Right? I don't think that point was clear.
So that means that those questions would have to be then directed not through us, but through the technical, which we try to by the way, we did try to invite the Barbados Water Authority to be here. Unfortunately, they could not be here with us. Now, I think one of the things to understand, Kimar, is that a lot of these things, yes, is technical, but when we start to politicize these things, I think this is where the red herring is for me, in that this water issue with St. John is far beyond politics. It's far beyond former ministers or present ministers, but it needs to be affixed to support. And I feel the pain for St. John people. You understand? I know what it's to not be able to water. So but we can't
it's
be.
not only St. John that's having water
True.
outages. It's St. Thomas, process St. Andrew, process St. John.
Joseph.
I mean St. George
Yeah.
and St. Joseph.
Mhm.
So let's just spread the burden.
All right, go ahead with your question.
Okay, what I want to say here to Andrea is this. No, I am happy that as a St. John resident that you are taking the lead and trying to stand up to the people in your area and recognizing that there is an issue and it needs to be fixed. I am saddened.
Not recognizing but dealing with the issue that we are having
You're dealing with the issue having
Yeah.
And I am saddened that when you were in the Senate, the upper house of the Parliament, that you did not deal with the issue back then.
No, let me stick a pin right there.
Yeah.
Because the issue was dealt with back then.
With the rapid
Because
response
with the
units.
rapid response
But that didn't bring relief?
No, but you wait a minute.
It didn't bring relief?
You wait a
Hold on.
minute.
It didn't bring
Hold on.
relief?
You wait a minute.
Hold on, please.
Alright, just hold on.
Don't badger our guests.
Just hold
But
on
no,
a minute.
you wait.
Let me. He was
Let
asking
Andrea
about my
finish.
period of
Alright, hold
time
on.
in the Senate.
Yeah,
So
right.
let me just state what the
let me finish tenure.
DLP's record was.
Hey, Andrea.
Okay.
Hold on, let me hear you. And then
Let me
go.
just state what the
No, I
DLP's
just want
record
to say
was.
something because I just want to apologize on Hassani Evelyn's behalf.
We did already.
We did already.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I apologize for you.
Okay, cool.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Sorry.
Let
No.
Andrea speak. I want to speak after
The
Right.
issue of Barbados facing a drought is nothing new. Since 1995, studies were done which show that Barbados is a water scarce country.
Correct.
That is why we have the first desalination plant on Spring Garden. And it also showed that with the impact of climate change, that we will have long, extended periods of prolonged drought. So therefore, the water that we depend on in the underground aquifers will not be sufficient to meet the demand for households in Barbados. That is why, in addition to the mains replacement program, which was intended to be able to conserve some of that water that in the underground aquifers instead of it being wasted, we started that program, which started from about 2009, 2010. The mains replacement program is a continuous program that has been continuing right now. When the current administration came in, they continued with the program.
Okay.
The next part of it, right, is in terms of making sure that you can supply the demand for water that you need, because if we depending on rainfall, we don't control the rain. We are a water scarce country. We know that we will have prolonged droughts. So the next part of it was a desalination plant. Studies were done and it was identified that you needed to have at least 2 additional plants, one in the north of Barbados and Trent and one to the south of Barbados. Plans were left by the DLP administration when we left office in 2018 for a second desalination plant to be commissioned. The contracts were done and the proposals. Now, when the Barbados Labour Party took office in 2018, okay, they decided that these contracts, we just hear the word egregious, but we are not hearing the specifics about the contracts, what is wrong with it, or that the price is too high. But I am saying to you that if that desalination plant was built and the contract was continued from 2018, it would be in place now. And this issue with a drought, St. John residents and other parts of Barbados will be having water. So if you want to go down the political road, you need to discuss that. But I want to discuss the solutions. How can we get water to the people of St. John?
You just spoke about a contract being left in 2018, right?
To build the
desalination
plant.
Desalination, yeah.
Right?
Another one.
Can you tell me in what year, because you seem to have all the information, in what year was it commissioned?
What? It wasn't built, so
No, it wasn't
commissioned.
built. In what year were the plans put in place to say, listen, this is what we intend to do?
Why would I help anybody?
No, there's a reason I'm asking.
The point is,
No. In what year did the Democratic Labour Party, in their infinite wisdom, whilst in government between 2008 and 2018, decide this is the road we are going to take, and we are going to.
Hold on.
all right. Well, let me put it to you.
Yeah, sir, hold on.
Proposal and execution.
Let me put it to you like this. It was done in stages, okay?
When was the first stage?
The contracts for the changing of the mains, when we came to office in 2008, negotiated those contracts with the CDB and IADB
Yes.
to do the mains replacement program. That was the first part of it. And that, because like I said, it was in phases. One, you have to be able, because even if you put the desal water into the pipelines and the pipelines are leaking, you'll be wasting that money.
That's right. The mains.
So,
The mains.
and also it was also to build out the capacity of the first desal plant that you have. Now, the first desal plant was there from 1995. Commissioned, well, probably 2000, commissioned by the Barbados Labour Party.
Okay.
Up to when we came to office, they were only using 65% of the capacity of that desal plant. What we did with the mains replacement program, we were able to increase the output from that plant so that water from that plant can go to St. Lucie,
Yes.
and it can get to Christchurch. So it's a phased approach in terms of
you really
increasing
still
the.
answer the
I'm
question?
getting to answering your question. It was a phased approach because then you would not need to rush into getting a second desal plant until you first find out how much capacity you can utilize in the first desal plant that you have there.
Okay.
So by the time we left office after the prolonged drought in the 2016-2017 era, we started the studies and we went out to tender, and a contract was left there for the plant to be built.
And what year did you begin work on it?
As I told you, it is a
Plan.
process.
But,
I
but,
know it's a
but,
process,
but hold
but
on, my
you
question,
refuse to
but hold on,
put
my
it
question though,
Is it
Andrea.
built yet?
No,
Regardless
but
of,
my question, Andrea.
hold on,
hold on.
regardless of if it's built or not, you started something probably in 2013. By 2018, you know, getting given out a contract. Now, it's very convenient that contracts were given out in 2018. I'm not trying to cast aspersions.
I
but
never
Please
said
don't.
that the
Please
contract
don't.
was given out. I said that the contract was negotiated.
Well, and now the Barbados Labour Party came into power, and
Right,
they
they
found these
renegotiated.
$1.6 billion in egregious contracts, which are now saddling the necks of the Barbados Labour Party. I'm sorry, the Barbados Water Authority. And you
Did anybody explain to you
if
what the
this $1.6 billion
egregious-
was available to
1.4.
said $1.4 billion, it don't make a difference. But if that money was available to the Barbados Water Authority, no. The residents in St. John, St. Joseph, St. George, and even parts of St. Lucie that are not getting water today would be able
No.
to have that money would be used.
I guess-
No, that
Just-
1.4.
What's our blasphemy is that?
Exactly, because
It's
that
not blasphemy.
Hold on.
1.4. No, listen.
Okay, I understand.
No, listen.
Hold on.
Alright, let's
The
hear Andre.
$1.4
I don't want
billion
to get- I want to
in
make a point.
egregious contract needs to be properly explained.
You gonna explain it?
No, that 1 point. If
Sure,
you
you
read
listen, you try to
the
explain.
No, I just
Auditor
want the
General-
audience
If
to
you
know.
read the Auditor General's report, he was asked to conduct a study of all of the contracts entered into by the Barbados Barbados Water Authority over a 10-year
Under the
period.
Democratic Labour Party
Under the
government.
Democratic Labour
Yes.
Party government from 2008 to 2018. So a large company like the Barbados Water Authority
See, like, all the
having
company.
$1.4 billion in contract over 10 years is nothing wrong with it. No, the nitpickings, because I read the Auditor General's report, right? The nitpickings with what he says was egregious included things like this. He said rapid response unit, which brought relief. Those came under those egregious contracts.
They brought relief.
Yes, it
Yes,
did.
it did.
It did bring relief because
So why did
what-
John was complaining that he ain't getting the water up the hill? He
because
ain't got a plan.
because
He ain't-
this
that he ain't
government
got no
stopped
time.
it.
So you put-
Because this government stopped it.
But it went
Because
back
they
in.
said that the contract was egregious and they stopped the
More
contract
time
with
spent up
Inattack.
underneath this
Not by
administration.
Inattack. No more
No, but it
time.
has to be by Inattack.
No more
Yeah,
time.
no.
Them prices that Inattack had was
No,
ridiculous.
that's not true.
I just
That's
wanna
not
add
true.
because-
This is the
Same time.
for long and Marshall.
Oh, come on.
In the space
Okay,
of-
one or two
No,
fell because of
no.
the bad plastering at base, but at the end of the day,
Who did
more
the
went
bad
down.
plastering at the
base?
The corporate, right, well, fine, but the corporate entities of Barbados gave more tanks
Buy cheap, get
than
cheap.
thing. Well,
Buy cheap,
from the
get
same
cheap.
company you bought from?
No, buy
It was the
cheap.
same company,
No,
rough and tough.
Guys,
Same brand?
No, let me
No,
jump
we
in
hold
here.
on. Right, you say, but we can't be thinking. We can't say that it fall down and just
Correct.
leave it there. The tanks were bought through the same companies that Inattack bought them from.
Yeah, but if you
So-
buy
but
the
if you
tanks,
use
the
less money-
engineering, the base structures, what causes
So
the
the base, so right,
Correct.
so we said there was a fault. They did say that there was a fault in the base structure, and they corrected it because I have tanks home, and if the base structure is not sound,
can't-
it would
you have to
happen. So let's not nitpick for the base structure, but we are saying to that even in the same interview that was 3 hours long, the town hall meeting, people were saying, okay, you got tank here, but He ain't got the tank. So I'm just saying.
But Kimar, what you're not understanding is that the Barbados Level Party.
But you said it brought relief. Right?
No, it did, but the Barbados Level
But
Party.
the trucks were not even filling them back.
No. Oh, okay, Kimar.
I
Just
don't get too
listen.
excited. Let
Just
Andrew finish now.
The Barbados
Let him
Labour
finish,
Party
please.
went there,
Please.
disbanded the Rapid Response Unit. They killed that arrangement that brought relief.
What's already
So
money.
they
Bring water
killed
to
that
the people. Bring water to the
arrangement
people.
that brought relief.
No.
Under the
Cost the tanks.
contract, those same community tanks,
Replenish,
Intertech
sanitize and replenish.
was involved in terms of sanitizing those tanks and replacing those tanks. So even at the town hall meeting, the
At those
gentleman,
rates.
even at the town hall meeting, the gentleman spoke about the tanks supposed to be cleaned every 2 months. That was part of the original contract. I am telling you now, Barbados Water Authority today don't have the capacity to do it because the tanks in my community were there for 6 months and have not been cleaned one single time.
Now what,
So
they
you
portable?
wash the tanks every single minute of the
You
day
would
and
know
all
when it
through
is
the day.
missing. Listen, you would know when the
Right,
tank
have to
is
take
missing
them out.
Question though,
because they have to
Andre,
take out the tank.
And bring it
And bring another one to put it in,
And then-
take that one
then
to be
sanitize
cleaned.
that one.
That is the process. So you would know when it
Andre,
is missing.
so you're
Right.
saying that there was no wastage at the Barbados Water Authority? Yes or no?
I ain't hear about that. They
No,
may be wasted
but
right
I have the
now.
question, yes or no?
I am saying that the contracts were providing a service to the people of Barbados, and they did not feel the burden as they are feeling it
Alright,
now.
you see, you're here with
correct.
that. I can tell you about Barbados Water Authority because I deal with Barbados Water Authority from a private sector level, and I can tell you for a fact. First thing, you
Yo, this shop.
know exactly how much rent we
Keep
were
on
paying
going.
for Barbados for the Water Authority building. One,
How much? You tell me.
you was the sons that you was involved in government. You don't know?
How this
Bitch,
help,
bitch,
how this
bitch.
helping St.
Hey,
John?
hold on,
How is it helping St. John?
Because we dealing on the issue of the wastage. I ain't going
That
no
is
further.
wastage too.
I can tell you for a fact there's equipment at Barbados Water Authority that I have seen and took pictures all for myself that is there, and there's nobody within the Water Authority at that time that was trained to use the equipment. That's only one point.
But the man got a small HR issue. That's a small HR issue.
We talking about wastage.
All right, hold on,
And you had an issue whereas down in the Bridgetown, at the Bridgetown pumping station, whereas you had tanks that being filled with diesel, but the generators that getting filled with diesel ain't being used. So who that money get? Which pocket that money get into?
You're nitpicking the man.
That's nitpicking.
No,
That's
alright,
wastage.
let's look at the big
That's
issue.
wastage, Andre.
I understand
And
what
you
you're
can't come on
saying,
this
the money.
show and say wastage.
The money, I understand what
That
you're
is a
saying.
management issue. That is a
As a
management
management,
issue.
correct. It's a
Management
management
issue.
issue.
Water Authority for the last X amount of years.
That is a management
That's-
issue.
that's what happened
And
there.
the same person that was the manager when the DLP left is the manager now.
No.
I want to
Okay,
talk
and that
with
is a
John,
management
please.
issue. You need to understand the difference between management and policy.
So therefore, you're saying
Correct.
the whole entire management at Barbados Water Authority basically is a whole joke.
St. John and water,
Well,
please.
maybe that was
Who
said.
paying per
But-
head?
The
Hold on,
money,
hold on.
this is my issue.
So let me take it.
This is my
Hold
issue,
on,
guys.
hold on.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Right. Okay.
Please raise some order, yes.
Yeah, but we got order and everything, and I know
It's
that-
conversation.
Yes, conversation. People get passionate. My whole issue here, as Kimar would have said, is all about addressing the needs of water for the people of St. John. Let us be real. Both parties have struggled over 3 decades to fix this water problem that's happening in St. John and some of the rural parishes. I think that it would not be in the best interest to come on this program today and said that nothing was done or nothing constructive was done during the Democratic Party time for 10 years in office to help address the issue of water. Now, based on the Auditor General's report, we are seeing that there may have been some issues with financing and so on that would have to be looked at and the relevant persons be brought to whatever.
There are a
Yes,
lot of
justice.
issues of
For
financing.
the relative persons to have to speak to, just how you have the Public Accounts Committee, they will have to speak to those issues. But what we have to get back to right now is how do we go forward with this whole issue of water for St. John?
But all right, hold
We
on.
gotta go back.
Water
I
for
don't
Barbados,
tell me that because the a multi-million-dollar building to house the staff, because, and that's another thing too that I have a problem with. We complain when government does things for public workers. Now the workers of the Barbados Water Authority were complaining for years that the building that they were in down in Bridgetown was making them sick.
Simon,
All right, a lot of people being made, hold on, they're being made
Let me
sick.
control.
So then we have the building of the new water authority complex as well as other offices up in the Pine, so that the workers can be comfortable and they can be more efficient.
Okay.
I don't have a serious problem with that if the workers of Barbados should I say the workers at the Barbados Water Authority, are working in better conditions to make them more productive.
Even at exaggerated prices.
I can't speak to all the prices being exaggerated. I am not a financial guru. But what I can say is that the quality of work experience for the workers now is better than when they were down in town before the rooms that had mold.
Hold on. Let me add. Hold on. I don't want to question you. Lisa, let me put this to you clearly. Nobody here in a yard foul, and if you can call people a yard foul, you come off the show because we all. It's a conversation.
I understand.
And you're a DLP, so it would imagine you call anybody here as a DLP. So we were all gonna be yard fouls together. But anyhow, let me look at this thing in totality here.
Correct.
We cannot have the show where we don't discuss these things. These things are critical to understanding why there's no money at the Barbados Water Authority to deal with the things that needs to be dealt with. And when we understand, and the reason why it would seem like you're nitpicking or you're thinking on Mr. Worrell is the fact that he sat in the government in the Senate and was a part of the government, right? So what I'm just saying is that the show has to look. Well, we could look at the solution. Yes, at the same time, people want to understand.
True.
Where is the money to deal with these things?
And that's
why
why
is people also need to understand why is all these exorbitant expenditures, and we cannot sit down here and ignore that the Auditor General, who is charged with auditing Barbados financials for every government agency, whether or department, whatever, and ignore that. He is paid to do that, whether by D or by B government. So we cannot ignore that when he says in the paper that there was a level of this or level of that. We can't throw that aside because I believe that the Auditor General should have the power to go and investigate these people and bring charges if need be. I'm just saying. But at the same time, we cannot ignore the fact. Yes, we're here to talk about the water problem, but the water problem can't get to a solution if we don't have the money to fix the solution or understand where the money went. What we can do? Pray for water.
I think that our situation here.
Roshan is trying to ask a question. Is it possible to explore how the mismanagement of former boards affected the ability of the BWA to deliver services to the people of rural Barbados?
Let me get
The question will start, Andrew, so let you go first.
And then Kimari could pick up.
That's Andrew.
No.
If he chooses.
Let me look at it this way, right? Because I think that people want to hear a conversation. Because it's a real need that I face. To get here, I had to bear out of a bucket. Okay? It's a need that I face. How are you going to get water to the people? No. We behave as though the Water Authority does not have any options. Barbados could get access to funding under the Climate Resilience Fund. Water comes under that. The IADB is willing to give us money. But we putting the country in debt right now with the BOSS program in terms of stimulating the economy.
So y'all didn't get the IADB money? Y'all took it for the water to fix the water problem because y'all didn't take it?
So how you expect that the mains were being replaced?
Y'all took it? I can confirm that.
How you expect that the mains were being replaced? So the point is, this is a crisis situation with water. And the issue is a policy level decision because the Minister of Water Resources has already said,
current or past?
The current minister, that the desalination plant is a waste of time and something that he will not be invested in. So you should really be asking him, but Minister, if you're not investing in the desalination plant to bring water and we are going through a prolonged drought, how do you expect to get water here?
True.
That is the question that you should be asking. So it's a policy decision that they took. But we need to move beyond that. We really need to get to realize that people are hurting.
What's your solution?
Nobody cannot.
What's your solution?
My solution would be.
What's your solution?
One.
Yes, sir.
Invest now in the desalination plant. I know it will not. The second desalination plant. I know it will not come next month. It will probably take a few months to a year to develop, but start the process.
The money, where's the money? We got what money? How much is it cost? What's the
realize
cost?
that you cannot put a value to human life.
Okay, what's the cost
Water
to build a desalination?
Hold on. Right.
What is the cost?
Alright, maybe one person. Guys.
Question came up regarding the desalination plant. Junior had asked, are you prepared to share with the show the cost benefit analysis?
That's why I asked
water that was provided to the DLB as an option. Was it deemed cost feasible?
I think you should ask the minister because he has
Current
the
or past?
contract. The current minister,
Right.
because he has the contract. He told people that it was egregious.
So-
You should ask him to
But
bring that
Andre,
figure.
Andre,
What I am willing to
Wait,
say-
hold on.
what I am
Give
willing
Give him a
to-
chance. Give him a chance.
What I am willing to say to you, right,
Got his notes there.
is that
Or what he has.
the contract that we negotiated, because you need to compare
For the desalination plant, right?
The
Right.
desal plant. You need to compare the price of the cost for water at desalination plants regionally.
Okay.
And the contract that Barbados negotiated was one of the lowest throughout the region.
How much?
I don't necessarily have the.
This is the one that the Democratic Party negotiated and left.
And if this minister had the time or the will to do it, he could possibly negotiate a good contract or a better contract. But I am telling you that the cost would be worth it because one, you have to look to see how not having water is affecting the economy right now.
Right, show
Farmers and
me.
everybody.
You have like a ballpoint figure of what you think it
No,
costs?
like he was going through some differences. Give me the
Hold
difference
on.
between the original.
I didn't hear solutions too, because people here waiting for
We
you.
want solutions. That's what people want. Yeah?
Are we bringing some
No,
solutions?
the person that's supposed to bring the facts about the figures is the minister. Because
No,
he
you are
has
here.
the
But you said you
contract.
negotiated one.
He has the contract.
But you said you
But I am
negotiated
telling
one.
you
can
that
supply
the
later.
point
You can
is,
supply later, bro.
right, that the need for water, you cannot put a cost on supplying water.
And I don't think
to
the minister
people.
did. I don't
He
think
did.
How?
He said it was egregious.
What?
He said it was too much money to spend on a desalination plant in an article that he did in 2019 when he sat and he dismissed completely
Why?
the
Why?
use of a
Was it
desalination
because?
plant.
I want to enter in a point here.
Stating that $4
Your colleague wants to say something.
Listen, $4 he would say, right?
Yeah,
He's a
$4
moderator on
was
the
too
show,
much
not
money
a
to
colleague.
spend for a desalination plant.
All right. Realistically, right now, the people of St. John are saying that they are having issues with the management of the Barbados Water Authority.
For years.
No,
For years,
hear what
Kimon.
I'm saying first.
Go ahead, but for years.
They're having issues with the truck drivers,
Uh-huh.
which is a human resource issue, proper staffing,
Yes.
a proper time cycles where the trucks will come out,
Mhm.
and giving people adequate notice of when the trucks are supposed to come. Then the DRP do ain't affecting that there realistically right now, right?
That
This is
what?
nothing that the DRP did in this time is affecting that right now, right?
Mm.
The issue that we need to focus on right now is the current management structure and how they are putting the workers.
But Kimar-
wait,
Someone
and how
said
they
here, the
put.
minister said it will cost $100 million per year.
I putting the workers out there to adequately
That's all right. Go ahead.
put to get water in St. John for the truck. Mr. Mwanza, if I have your name correct, said it is more expensive to get the water in St. John by truck as opposed to getting it in by
By-
pipe.
by pipe.
Right?
That's obvious.
No.
Who is
no.
Mr. Monza? So
He's
he's
the acting general manager.
okay, so people
All
can
right.
hear.
If you move on from that and get to the deeper issue, we clearly see that Water Authority has a financing problem and being able to get the appropriate monies to run an effective plan. So
What they're doing now is
how
milking.
the current structure of Water Authority is set up based on the little bit of taxes that we collect right now.
Yeah.
Which is only 25
The infrastructure of the Water Authority outweighs the cost that government is able to put forward. Right?
Okay.
Government is basically has a monopoly over Water Authority as it states, right?
Yeah.
So now, if you're having a financial issue and government can manage it, what's the next step? There's discussions now about privatization and allowing persons to invest in the Water Authority. My suggestion
But
is...
that has not been published, so that you speculated it. Has there been published that will privatize?
All right.
You speculated
We could
it.
discuss it. We could
We
discuss it after.
speculated
Right? We
it.
could discuss it after. Right?
Because it was never said.
No. Realistically, the ministers on record talking about how expensive it is to fund desal plants, or how expensive it is to maintain the infrastructure, and if Barbadians were willing to pay the true cost of water, all of these things hinting about, or I could say possibly hinting at increase in water bills to be able to fund that, right?
You can't answer so,
My-
Kimar.
I said hinting.
You far-fetched.
Right. I said hinting. No. My thing is, if we can look at financial maneuvers like boss, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about allowing public workers to invest in capital projects,
Yeah.
right? I think that St. John and St. Thomas and St. Joseph and those parishes that definitely need the water, those should be top priority under a boss program as opposed to a hotel or any other capital project, which a small few persons in this economy they will benefit and not the wider population. And I think that we need to adopt a humanitarian approach right now to policy, because right now, if you look at the issues that these people are facing, Germany, you know what it is to get up on the morning, no brush teeth, no beard, nothing.
All right.
I can't say yes.
Let me go for it. This thing. Hold on. We look at now. Nobody. Well, y'all will always go back to it. Nobody's disputing the fact that the St. John, St. George, and St. Thomas people aren't hurting based on bailing out a bucket. We understand that, but we also must look at the realistic point of view here. That underneath the Democratic Labour Party, there was a lot of leeway to do a lot of things, as Andrea said. He talked about hold on. I'm not saying right. Fine, but you said that the BLP could borrow money from some environmental, what program? Climate Resilient Fund. You also said that they could borrow money from IADB. No, and I'm saying at the same time, with that same breath and that same token, then why didn't the Democratic Labour Party do the same?
Because the people of, well, listen, I have told you that a contract was there. So obviously for the contract to go in, the funds, you would have had to negotiate funds in terms of with these lending agencies. Yeah. But we did not return to office in May 2018. So therefore the contract was
okay,
not
but hold on.
So
Let me follow up on this here. But no. We're talking about a 10-year span in the Democratic Labour Party. You had time. So you had ample time. No, ample time to do it. I find right, and I can say here publicly that a lot of the contracts that the Dems had apparently was renegotiated or negotiated for election, which is 2018. So and not only that, a lot of contracts were also renegotiated for people to come back in office. So the reason why you're talking about poor management, let me go to poor management. The reason for poor management is because a lot of those people that would have gone with the Democratic Labour Party were given extended contracts to stay in the position. And that's why the management, as bad as it was underneath the Dems, is still bad underneath the Dems.
You have proof for all this, or these are the things that you
come on, these things was in the paper.
Could be sensational.
They were in the paper.
I can't agree with that.
When we talk about productivity and the same, why can't we? Okay. Here's question. I'm not saying the DLP person. I said they were renegotiated for an extended period of time. Now, why is it right that if we have such poor management in the Barbados Water Authority and in this particular thing, why can't we remove them? When the media reported that the head of this department or the head of this organization was extended by another 4 or 5 years, when they had poor management, when they were in this part, when they were this underneath this administration,
with the Barbados Water Authority.
This has to do because those yes it does. Yes it does. Because if you said on productivity, what I'm saying is that there were contracts that were people that could have gone because they were doing bad work, but because of the extended thing, they're still in the position and you can't get rid of them, so you're getting bad work still. And bad management still.
I want to read a comment by Kentley.
Yes,
there are a number of comments that we missed.
There are some comments. Let's read some.
Okay, so let me go back up. But there are a couple comments. Of course, people are commenting about our noise.
The poor procurement of contracts period
plague book
has been a problem from administration
to administration with regards to contracts and issuing contracts and so on.
Right. But what your information was correct. We all know here that contracts were signed just before the last election.
And that would have been done in the previous administration too as well.
Okay, give me
and some were done within Barbados Water Authority.
So we could get off the contract.
Yeah, no, I'm not getting. I'm not saying we are not off. What I'm saying is we don't let me.
Someone here wants to call in this side. You told them that you can call in the show.
No. The audio working?
The audio is good. I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Can you call in the show?
Yes, the person got a call from my Facebook and everything. But I'm just saying though, I'm not pulling.
The person is ready to call in.
Okay, go ahead. I'm just saying all of these inclusive of why we have bad management. Because so don't let me sweep things on the carpet.
No, we're not trying.
It's realistic.
But we're looking at the bigger picture with regards to what is the way forward for the people in St. John and rural areas.
We can look at it, but I'm just saying all of these are contributing factors. When we start to deal with things, this is why we are in the position we are in now. We start to sweep things because it sounds political. We start to sweep things because of this. We cannot do that. When we talk about bad productivity anywhere, We see it when if you go into a particular establishment and there's bad productivity, the management needs to fix that, or the management needs to go.
But Kimar,
I agree.
the reality is, right, is that the period of time that we are not getting the water in this crisis situation is now, and the Barbados Labour Party government was in for 2 years. They had enough time that they could have brought about the change. The people are complaining.
Hold on.
Is this Kelvin Mass? 2 years is more than 10.
No, it's not. We're not saying that.
Hold on.
I said the period of time where people were.
All right, I would like to hear Andre's solution. I want to stop. Hold on.
Right.
Let me give you show.
Hold on. Wait, no. All right, Andrea, what's the main issue right now? What's the problem with people getting water in St. John?
Speak for St. John right now.
Well,
And then after we go
things.
No, but don't ask no questions. I want to hear the solutions.
Two things.
Yeah.
Now, everybody in St. John of the opinion that somehow the water from Gormiston is being diverted elsewhere. And I asked that question at the town hall meeting, and it has not been answered.
We got a call coming through.
What other areas outside of St. John does Gormiston supply water to?
People in
Because
White House
our
again,
main
water again.
concern
Let them
is that we are being told there's a drought, but yet St. John is the only area that has these long, prolonged periods of water outages. But people in Ellerton and St. George, their water don't go off. People in St. Michael, their water don't go off. People in Christchurch and St. Philip, especially when you talk to St. Philip, they have high water pressure.
Yeah.
So that is one of the main issues. And two, if it is, and yes, we know that there is a drought, and the only solution in that situation is a desal plant, can you at least put the packaged desalination plant that you have sitting down in a factory yard into use? So that it can bring relief to residents, that you can get water. And also, if you have to depend on the tankers and the trucks and stuff like that, organize a better schedule with people. Don't tell people that I only filling giving you half of your tank per water, which is not going to last for 2 days, and then for 3, 4, 5 days, you're not going to see the truck again. Organize a better schedule with the tankers in terms of filling personal tanks. Then the other issue is that we have been paying our water bills consistently.
Okay.
And we should at least be compensated. And you can bring the compensation in the form of the personal tank program. In terms of the personal tank program, giving those people in areas that are badly affected, the worst affected areas, with the personal tank, so it would make it easier, because it's not easy for persons to have to lift buckets of water, especially elderly persons.
So when you say the issue is really
Right, hold on. We got a caller.
Oh yeah.
We got a caller here. Hold on.
Is the issue really distribution
You got a call
or
coming through.
lack of water?
Okay.
It's a
Hold on,
distribution
Keel.
problem.
Distribution.
Hi, good night.
All right, good night, Keel. Thanks for calling in. Actually, you're first caller.
No, we got technology working.
Welcome, Keel. You have a question. Go ahead with your question.
I have two questions. Two directly to Andrea Worrell.
Go ahead. Speak louder. Go ahead.
So let me just make it clear that I am a constituent of St. John. So this water issue that we are facing as constituents of St. John, Andrea, when did it started?
Well, Q, for me, it started from last year, and as I said, over the last 6 months was the worst in terms of having to live for 6 months, depending on a bucket for a bath. So that is the main issue that I'm talking about.
So the residents of Crystal Hall in St. John, where I live, water outage only started last year. It started in October 2015.
In terms of having to live for 6 months, depending on
I'm speaking about. So the residents of Crystal Hall in St. John, where I live, yours may have started in the last 6 months.
All right. Thanks, Keel. We kind of getting the feedback here.
Alright, based on what everybody was saying.
But just let me fairly answer Q's question, right? Okay. No. Areas in St. John would have water problems in terms of, I know Gall Hill, for instance, would have issues with water. I'm not saying that we had it ever so perfect that you didn't used to have water outages.
Okay.
But I'm saying that this is the first time that we have been without water for such a long period of time. During the crop period, you would normally have situations where the water goes off at night and stuff like that. and other areas it may be off for a longer period of time. The norm for us sometimes would be maybe you go for 2 days without water, or maybe a week without water. But going for 3 months straight without any water running through your taps at any time at all during the day, that is unusual.
Well, I want to reply to you, Andre. I didn't want to say this. I read an article where the Prime Minister of Barbados, Ms. Motley, she indicated that the issue in St. John will now become central and priority to her and her
She
government.
said that last year.
Exactly.
Hold on. Let me speak.
I think I might have it here.
Let me speak.
I got it on my phone too.
Hold on.
Both of them. So I could read both of them and she said both of them the exact time and date.
Yes, let me
But
read. Let me
bear in mind,
go to
Hold on,
bear in mind,
hold on.
Let me speak.
Speak
Ms.
to the
Motley,
man.
the Prime Minister of this country has indicated that the issue of water scarcity in St. John will be addressed.
When did she say
Right?
this?
She's in the newspaper. When I read the newspaper on
How many-
Saturday.
On Saturday.
Right, that
Okay,
she-
and then
she-
she said it also on Saturday Wait, let me just blow it up. On September 3rd, 2019. After years of battling with an inadequate or non-existent water supply, Prime Minister Motley has promised residents of the Scotland district that relief is on its way.
She never said that in St. John.
Be in Scotland district too, buddy.
Okay, all right. So the Prime Minister has now she now hears the cries, and she has given you her on the
She ain't know here the play. She had the cry every
She has heard the cry every since, but she has given you her undertaking now again that she will deal with it. Number one. No, the Barbados.
She said that last year.
Hold on. It doesn't make a difference when she said it. And she's actively dealing with it.
All right.
No.
She said that last year. She was actively dealing with it, and all that now is still waiting.
All right.
And she's asking us to
But that,
continue
I
to
sorry,
do
but
it.
that better than the 10 years of not getting
We
anything.
were getting them.
But, all right,
You didn't see anybody
let me-
walking
let me-
about Barbados.
So
with a
why I had to
petition
go in
then?
St. John and give away water?
You went to St. John to give away water
Yes,
at a time
please.
when naturally there was a
drought.
water outage
I drought.
and a drought.
And there's a drought now.
How long did you go? When was the last time you went to St. John to
I
give
went out
away
there
water?
says I might be happy to give St. John water.
When was the last time you went in St. John to give water since
Yes,
2017?
I didn't went out there
When
no
was
more.
the last time
Alright,
you went since
I
2017?
didn't went out there.
All right, let's okay,
But
guys,
come on,
order,
Andre.
order.
You say the issue no started back in the last 3 months.
She said
So
it was
so
Not the
worse.
last
Not
3
last 3
months,
Last 6.
over the last year,
Over
but
the
it
last
has
year.
gotten
Worse.
worse.
As we say, get worse.
So all of a sudden it has gotten worse because of
Let me finish.
administration
Hold
takeover.
on, let me
Yeah.
finish.
No, but I ain't trying to
Let me
blame
finish.
government or anything
Let me
because
finish.
one of the things that we
Hold on.
recognize too is that there
Hold
are
on.
inefficiencies
Hold on. Let me
and lack of
finish.
capacity
Let
of
me
water
finish.
authority.
When the Barbados Labour Party came into office in 2018, Ms. Motley and the team had indicated then that look, we have some very serious challenges in Barbados. Now, you had the water issue, which is in St. John, St. Joseph, St. George, St. Thomas. You had
Critical.
the mission critical for the government at that time was the South Coast sewage problem.
That's right.
Because we had
Which was
raw
rectified.
sewage flowing on the streets of
But not by one of those.
So
By who?
Because when y'all
By
came
who?
in, it was already being fixed. and
Ah,
y'all-
man.
It just completed when we got there.
Ah, man. Ah, Andre, man.
It was
So-
being fixed.
No,
and y'all
Ah,
finished it.
man. Yeah, come on.
So,
man.
okay.
Let me
The
tell me
election was
that.
won in May
May 2018?
2018.
Yeah.
So you can go in June and say you fix the problem.
Yeah,
That's
because
exactly what you did.
it was said in
Obviously,
the
fix would
paper.
have started long before
But no,
that.
it was said in the
True, it is
paper.
true.
Going back to the articles, no.
Let's be real,
That
man.
the minister at the time was not listening to the
Kimar,
consultants.
I want to ask you a question.
I only get with the paper.
I want to ask you a
Andre,
question.
Andre,
Can I ask
hold on,
Kimar a
let me
question?
I want- no, no, I-
want to answer a question. Now I want you to be fair.
Fellas, let's go
I
forward,
want you to
man.
be fair.
I did.
All
The
of
Barbados
these
Labour Party
very
entered
fair.
office in May 24th, 2018.
All
They,
right.
and they
But
said that they
hold on,
had
let
the
me finish.
solutions to
Let
all
me
of the problems.
finish.
And on the
By the
campaign trail, they said in 3
Hold
months
on.
we will fix everything in Barbados. Give me the board and watchman. We
And-
still waiting.
and-
Go ahead, man.
Nah, the prime minister, the prime minister,
Board and watchman.
but
Still waiting.
she has done more in 2 years than in the
Give me
10
the
years.
board
I
and
can't-
watchman.
She has done more in 2 years than 10
That's
years.
phenomenal.
For water.
We have
That's
a very
one.
strong prime minister. We'll
Hold
give you
on,
that.
hold on,
But
hold on.
Very strong
Hold on.
leadership.
Yeah, but the rest of the ministers-
Kimar, and Simon. I
Yes,
want
please.
y'all to be
They're
fair.
moderators.
They're
Don't
moderators, but
point
they're also
out.
dense.
But moderators
I want you
first.
to be
Moderators
fair.
first.
I've always been
I
fair. You know
want
that.
you to be fair. Miss Motley entered office on the 24th of May, And by the 28th of May, people were sworn in, hit the ground running, have to be doing tours, and ensure that they seek to
The mission critical
mission critical
Yes,
issues dealt with.
yes,
Right?
yes.
Miss Motley came in, she found contracts which had to be renegotiated.
And she did.
They had
Had
ghost
How to
files.
start Hilton against sell?
Hold on, man. Hold
Had what?
on.
How to start Hilton against
Hold
sell?
on, man. Right? She found all sort of discrepancies in government. Then apart from that, you have the corruption issue.
The alleged
corruption issue.
I understand.
I remember, and it is something they often hear. Persons come in what you call. She even came on TV and said we're going to give you a come to Jesus moment.
Yes.
Look,
Because the hold on, Kimar.
if you want to run for the BLP, all you got to do is write you letter and say that you want to run. You know you want to come and campaign.
Yeah, man.
It's
Andrew,
not that.
It's not
Andrew,
listening.
hold on.
But boy, let
Andrew,
continue.
no, I
Let
want-
finish.
hold on,
Let
hold on.
finish. Then
Hold
go
on.
and answer it.
I am making.
Get
I am
back- get
making.
back to
hold
the
on,
point.
hold on.
Get back to the
I am
point.
Jermaine,
I am
bring
making.
him out of water.
I am saying
Get
all
back-
this
come
to
back,
say this, right? You cannot come here and try to pretend as if the Barbados Labour Party abandoned the people in St. John. The Barbados Labour Party came into power and they have been dealing
True.
consistently with issues which were left wanting by the Democratic Labour Party over the 10-year and 3.5 months that you held the country to ransom.
I wouldn't go that far. to say
Hold
that
on,
the country
I
rise.
will go that
Continue,
far.
no, let's
you
continue.
held the country to ransom.
I wouldn't say that far.
Right?
Don't go on.
All right, let me move on, Jermaine.
Let's move on.
Hold
Let's
on,
move
hold
on.
on.
Jermaine, point.
Right? You held the country to ransom. So the Barbados Labour Party came in and they're dealing with issues. Now,
Yes.
it is sad that the issue in St. John was not dealt with yet.
That's right.
But I want to be fair. The government has said that they intend to deal with it. They are starting the process, right? And you must understand that you can't just get up and do these things in an environment where you have no money. Before COVID, you had no money.
I could counter that.
In COVID, no, you have even less.
I could
Sorry,
counter that.
fair
You know
enough.
why?
Let me get Kimar.
Because the same Mayor Motley and the same government that you here defending went Parliament and legislate changes to the catastrophe fund to give money to businesses. So why they come back the same changes to be able to affect
But we needed to go.
affect the water.
That is the point. That is the
When
point.
you talking your political diatribe, get your facts straight and come back to St. John and water.
Are we getting back home? Andrea.
Water.
No, he wanted a question
St.
for me.
John. Water. Solution.
All right, guys, hold on a minute. You got a question for me?
Yes, the question to you was.
Is it about solutions?
Let me hear you.
I will
Yes.
pass the question for now so that we
Yeah,
can
we
get
need the
on to
solutions.
dealing
Go
with the
ahead.
solutions.
Yes.
Okay? Now, you asked earlier what really is the problem,
Yes.
and it's important to identify that.
Correct.
Right? The major problem is in terms of the supply of water. You don't have the water in the aquifer because you're not getting the rain.
Yes.
You can't make the rainfall.
You
the
can't make it
minister
either.
can't make the rainfall, and you definitely can't fix the leaks either. The only way that you can fill those aquifers with water right now,
Yeah.
because we do not know how much longer this drought will continue, is to put in place a desal plant, right? So that is a solution that could possibly come on board within a year to a year and a half if they negotiate the contracts. and get
Also,
that
what
done.
about being able to distribute, try and distribute the water from different areas?
Right.
Again to that.
No, right. And part of that was already done, right? Because, remember I told you that the increasing output from the first desalination plant, which was part of the work being done.
Yeah.
Because that desal plant, when we came to office, it was operating at 65%, and now it's up to nearly a full capacity.
Yeah.
And we were able to negotiate a reduction in the price as well. And it supplies water up north and also to the south coast as well. To the south and St. Philip. So you have to be able to do the network, and a lot of that work was done.
Yeah.
Because you would notice that quite a few housing projects, when you go up to Christchurch, Kent and those areas, a number of those housing projects were able to start because we were able to get water from the desal plant up to Christchurch and those areas. So yes, in terms of the network and the mains replacement program still continues so that you will not lose a lot of the water when you pump it into the system. Now, the short-term solutions in terms of getting water to the households right now.
Okay.
I think that what you can do, it was done in 2017 with the same drought period, then the Rapid Response Unit.
Mm-hmm.
They offered.
You seem to love that unit.
Of course, it was a brilliant. It did an excellent job. But they offered personal tanks to residents in St. Joseph and St. Andrew.
Okay.
Right, so that would help a lot of persons if you offer these personal tanks. Because you already got the residents paying the water bill and they're not getting water through the pipe.
Subsidize it.
But
Off-
can we afford the tanks at this time?
Yes, you can because
They're cheap.
Yes, you can. And there is a government program. I believe that there was grant funding that was negotiated for those tanks. So a certain millions of dollars was negotiated to supply those tanks because that came under the climate resilience
But
fund.
would we be compliant with the
Yes, we would.
cost, with the program that we were in?
The IMF,
Bert
program.
the BERT program.
Yeah, because
Maybe-
obviously you have to look at that as well.
But-
But it's good to talk.
But
about things
but
we
remember,
want,
we could bring
but
back the
money-
privatization, the private funders that give. I think one of the problems, if you could correct me, if I saw that when they started the rapid response in terms of using tanks, I thought that the tanks were going to be primarily for those that are in need of water. But I found that certain areas, other areas were like Kingsland, were also focused on, and you could have done a rent to own or put it on your water bill because
Yeah.
I'm at home and I'm paying for one of the tanks as well. But I'm saying that, well, you come to an area that was not so much affected. I think that those tanks or those programs should have gone straight to
the persons who need
St.
it.
Thomas
Okay.
and John, because that's the only fault that I saw in that
Because
program.
I think that they did have a need assessment attached to it.
Yeah.
But right now, the need has changed in terms of the persons, because you have people that live down at the bottom of a hill, and you have your tanks, the community tanks in different sections of the hill. So wherever they have to go for water, they got to lift in buckets of water
Up and down.
or down a hill. Can be
Jack
easy.
and Jill.
But it would be so much easier and more convenient for those persons if you gave them the community tank so that a truck will just come and fill up those tanks.
What about standpipe? I have a standpipe in front of my house. I
But-
never
but
see,
what
not in my
kind of
where I used to
standpipe?
live.
That's the one again.
No, I mean that standpipe never went off in my life, and so
Tanks just go off?
I never see a standpipe
No,
go
I
off. So what I'm just saying is, if they were supposed to, instead of I don't know, I'm not the expert. I'm just solutions again. What if they were supposed to erect 10 standpipe in critical areas?
The
where-
standpipes are no community tanks.
Oh.
The standpipes are no community tanks.
But standpipe run directly from the main, so you should have let it go.
Who?
Doesn't a standpipe run directly from the main?
So it means that you should have continued with the
The standpipe, because standpipe never lock off because it's coming directly from the main.
Okay. But still, that is not really helping.
With reference to solutions that you're bringing now, have you written to the now Minister of Water Resources or the Prime Minister and said, look, I am a resident of St. John. These are the problems that I am facing. These are the solutions that I'm putting forward.
No, we requested a meeting with them in terms of discussing what the problem was, and so we can put forward our solution when we did the petition in March. They never responded to us. Well, yes, we know that we were under lockdown and so forth, but we even suggested that you can have the meeting via Zoom to make it easier. Because Andrew Worrell alone can't put forward these solutions for everybody else.
Community.
And we wanted to do it as a community effort, but also persons at the town hall meeting, which was held on Sunday, some of these same suggestions came forward. What we were hoping to leave the town hall meeting with them saying, well, yes, this is something that we will look into and that we can do. By now, this is like 2 days after the town hall meeting. I'm hoping tomorrow they're having a press conference saying, look, we had the town hall meeting, we had an opportunity to review and digest all of the issues raised by the residents of St. John. Here are the immediate solutions which we will offer to those people. And it can include the personal tank programs, it can include some compensation, and it can include a better rotation and rostering of the tanks so that every community will be able to get water. I must say that since the same town hall meeting, even before the meeting finished, some people were messaging and calling in and saying that the water was on in their area. That is good, right?
But should it have taken a meeting for water to come on?
Exactly, because the water even came on in my area today for the first time in 3 months, and it ran for like two hours. So things like that if you can,
It doesn't.
well, it doesn't, because why would it take for us to agitate to get that done, and then all of a sudden the water can come? But
And
I'm
go
hoping
off.
that they will continue at least letting each community get 2 hours of water on a daily basis. It don't have to be, if right now the capacity does not allow for a daily basis, every other day could work, and it will make people happy.
Do you think that St. John needs to build a reservoir?
They have to.
We have
not,
to.
Another one?
Not necessarily.
But
Change the sound.
I mean those
Easy.
big green tanks like you can see from the up by Fort George,
Point,
like those
you
big
point.
green ones.
Yes, something like that is necessary.
It's necessary.
Right. It's something like that is necessary,
monitor the money.
and so that for the desal water go into that
To
and
store.
then run.
Correct, because if you're looking at solution and you're saying I see this big tank from driving probably any part of our base
Yeah.
on top of the hill.
Yeah.
And they have refurbished it the other day because it was pretty old, and they used to wash cars in Fort George Heights, so you know about it.
Aye.
So at the end of the day, I think that one of those or two of those that could service on the border between St. George, St. Thomas, and St. George.
St. George.
So the St. Joseph, all those areas, something like that is needed, because we can't listen. The problem for me is that it seems like governments could come and governments could go. St. John will be in a problem of water, and that is what's sickening me to the core.
Not
that the
just-
people are finding
After 3
challenge
I want
with
to go
it.
back to my original point, right? Water Authority is a government-owned entity,
Yeah.
and traditionally
But
challenges that
remember,
face-
government owned, but stand alone as what's called it now? Statutory corporation. Don't let me
But-
differentiate.
At the end of the day, there's not much
Still government.
innovation. There's not
Yeah,
much innovation
but
associated
it makes
with,
money, not central.
with government entities and being able to deliver competitive products towards its citizens, right? So there will come a time that the government will start to cry foul and say, well, hey, we can no longer afford to fund water authorities like before, and a discussion will come up about privatization and allowing
Man, you
private
spewing,
players
man.
to get in
You
to the
misleading it,
supply of
misleading.
water to residents.
Mhm.
It is not for a foreign idea, so don't think that it is.
But why would a company in Barbados look to take on the water authority with the enormous debt it has?
This is what I'm talking about.
So privatization can't be on the table, Kima.
What happens to a company when it gets too much debt?
But you can't bankrupt a government entity, and not only that,
But if
that's
you
not
can
a
get-
living
Well,
of debt.
you know what is essential good,
And
and
it's-
government may not necessarily be willing to part ways with it.
You
No,
can't.
but
I
not
never
partnership.
said-
Partnership.
Because you will have to
You
cap
sell
the.
it.
So
You have to sell it.
if government privatize the water authority tomorrow, you have to cap the cost of water. You will kill we.
I never said that they're gonna privatize it.
No,
No, you
saying.
sending signals.
Because
If
it's
you-
There will come a time that the government can no longer afford to fund the water authority.
They need democracy before I talk about privatization of it too.
I am not sure.
I hear one if it is that
This is
it-
the
it's
DLB
on
agenda.
Is a DLB view.
I don't think it's not. Don't please, please, don't run away. Don't run away. Don't run away with that thought.
I don't think that that's necessarily a
Nobody said
solution.
they want
No,
privatized water
but
authority.
reality is though,
Because go for different.
in terms of financing for the water authority, because the water authority plays a bigger role to this country than just bringing water to households.
That's
It
true.
is actually linked to our economic development. You cannot really approve plans for a hotel or a new housing development unless you can supply the water to the residents that you have enough.
True.
Yeah, I think
So-
it's the electricity, water, roads, and
Yeah,
what.
the utilities.
Correct. So, in terms of this idea of the cost being too much, right? You can justify it because one, Barbados is affected by climate change.
Yeah, we all are.
Exactly. Right? And then the hurricanes and so forth. So you can justify it. The water is not just, as I said, for bringing water to
I always keep
households,
reminding
but
you.
agriculture.
Yeah.
Now, in this COVID-19 period, a lot of persons have turned to farming. But they really can't get their farming off of the ground, especially not until a couple of weeks ago when the rain really started to come in. Because they had no water. If you invest in a desalination plant, I'm not saying to use the desal water for farming, but it means that the groundwater, more of the groundwater, you can make available for agriculture and other purposes, which will help to spur the economic development. And it's not just in terms, and the desalination plant is not the only option. We need to do a better job too of channeling the water runoff into areas where it can be trapped
water is a big problem
and utilized.
Correct.
And also upgrading of the sewage plants as well, so that they can become tertiary treatment plants, so that some of that water, instead of being pumped out to sea, can be utilized on
My question
as
again,
well.
so my question again would be funding for these type of projects.
Yeah.
The government cannot realistically.
You talk about IADB and all of those.
No,
That's for grants.
that's for.
Well, you
what I'm
can
talking
grant
about-
and borrow.
Let's hear me. What I'm talking about, right, is to get any direct funding into the organization without all of the underwritten rules and regulations that will specifically directly and target where you can invest this monies, which is the mantra of multilateral institutions. I am talking about private investment into the water authority to be able to gain these innovations. There will come a time where we need to have that conversation with the private sector. And no, I am not suggesting any sellout of the organization.
You keep talking about
But-
privatization.
No, he's not.
thing.
He's not saying that.
But the fact remains that the water authority is saddled with debt, as
That's
you
right.
see it, and the
Serious
taxes that we
Not enough to fund it.
is not enough to fund it. So what then do we do?
But you can't.
That's the point, but that's the
Andre,
point.
what you want to
That's
ask?
the
I want to
point.
ask a solution, a question in terms of a solution. Now, I've had the pleasure of traveling about the world, and what about, or where can we see St. John? Because if I'm correct, they said that a lot of rainfall within the rural part than in, like, you know, the more town areas.
Urban
What can the people in St. John and these other affected areas do to collect water, or where the government could put something that could turn, you know, like they used to turn mud water into clean water, or reservoir into some, where the government can
Portable water.
portable water, could invest money into households, or households can charge it to their account to be able to bring some sort of relief to themselves if the rainfall capture that water and then turn it into a potable water.
Potable water, yeah.
What's that solution?
And are
Because
there
y'all,
Well, I guess
are
it's
there
already-
solutions to getting water ready for the sea?
what are you trying to kill someone?
I mean,
No,
desalination.
Desalination.
Right, but I mean, so
But your ability to sell plastic, you can't get it?
Also, Andre, to add to what Kimura had just asked, what about the using the spring?
Right.
But once again, the spring, the levels of the spring dependent on the water.
The
Right,
rain-
but
the
some
rainfall.
any time frame that the water levels are high in our
Yeah,
rainy
of course.
season. Is there a way that we could store that? Is there a way we could channel our water, clean it, whatever you got to do?
Wait, hold on. I got a
Wait,
question. I got a question here. Put that question. Go ahead, sir.
It says here, question: if Barbados is a water scarce country, why are we using good, clean, potable water to flush toilets? We should be designing
Right.
homes to capture rainwater to flush toilets.
You know, funny, I
This
was
is
thinking about
what-
that. too.
This would answer
This is the
your
question. Yeah.
Because for years, a new house, once you put in a plan to build a new house, it has to have the tanks,
Yeah,
once it's
the
of a
underground
certain
tank,
size,
yeah.
to capture the water.
Yeah.
What we did not do is that a lot of persons have, they follow the instruction, they got the tank, but they don't necessarily use the water for any useful purpose, right? And just because it overflow, they may use it for flushing. I believe that we could upgrade the building code,
Yeah.
that plumbing, that you should be able to use that water, like the person suggested, to for flushing
Flushing
toilets.
I-
Those kind of
I
things.
also see another solution, and I hate when we do this in Barbados. We make laws and pass policies and all this and don't follow
Yeah,
up.
we seeing that now.
Now,
boy.
I remember the minister making remarks about people not washing cars with hoses and different stuff. And I think that we need to come up with a community water watch team or something, so that sees people, because I see people in my area washing cars, watering the plants, and
That's because they're not experiencing the drought that we in St.
not but I mean that no, but it was a public.
I don't have that luxury.
Yeah, but it was a public plea for the minister. I think it was also somewhat policy could be charged for something like that.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah,
I'm saying
yeah,
is, it frees up a lot more water for people.
Yeah, but question though, okay, if you stop the people from washing the vehicles with the hoses and stuff and what's not, where you thinking they can find water.
Again, we talk about catching rainwater to do that crap.
But,
But also,
if there's no rain, where you get water
Correct.
on the vehicle?
Then let the car dirty.
no, wait, but
They could go somewhere another parish and get car
I'm
water.
sorry. I
attached
guess you
somewhat
want
to
my
his point, right?
Yeah.
One of the issues I also had with the BWA in their messaging, you wanted to give Barbadians the impression that there was a drought,
But
but
it
yet
is a drought.
still no, but yet still some people getting water 24 hours a day and are abusing it for things like what Kimar was pointing out
Wetting
in
cars,
terms of
washing
washing
cars.
cars with a hose. What really works to reinforce that there is a drought? Turn off the people water at some point in time at night. so
I have
that-
no problem with that.
So that
curfew
because
water.
that was
So
done
then the
before.
water would flow to St. John.
It could
And
either
St. Joseph.
Or wherever
flow
it
to
need
other
to.
areas or give the reservoirs time to
Sorry,
replenish.
so that means they're redirecting water elsewhere.
I have no
But,
problem.
But they-
you
but they
need
did that
the
already.
mains, But once
Yeah,
again,
but that's
guys,
what
it goes
used to
back
be
to the
done.
mains.
That
and
used to be
pumps
done.
again.
It used to
And
say,
upgrading the mains.
but used to say at 8 o'clock, expect this water, so you know you go home and catch your water too. And think, I believe that
Proactive.
I believe that we can find a solution. I think that most of the time, and you know, for somebody that sit on some boards that you know give headaches, I think that times we find excuses and not solution.
I
I
agree.
think that times that we rather than try, I always say I would rather fail trying than fail to try.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
that's it.
I think that we just need to get up and do, and I think that we got this thing about this theory and calculating and take risk. If it means that you can shut off up in Britain Hill by a certain time so that the people down in the hill, down by Garrison could get water, sail up by 8 o'clock, water shut off by 5 o'clock, and give the
Back
people the
on.
relief, because
Yeah.
I do believe that all of us have to share in this burden.
Yes.
So again, we could sit here, and none of us here works at the Barbados Water Authority. None of us are engineers. None of us are specialists. We could only, I didn't hear people calling for solution. We did invite the Barbados Water Authority to be here so that they could have given the insight that was needed on this. We are only moderators and guests sitting here discussing it.
Here, you know what? We're going to extend a special invitation to the chairman of the Barbados Water Authority.
That's right.
And have her come here and discuss the issues with water in this country with us.
And-
But what
That'd be
what
good.
I would
I-
also suggest that you can do.
I will let the
because
engineer.
at the town hall meeting, you had former employees of the Barbados Water Authority with the experience who gave some very, very valid
But why
suggestions.
are these suggestions not at the point? And that listen, I mean this by no disrespect,
I wouldn't
playing
put it
down
over this
nobody, PhD, GDP, EDP, right? But I find many times that we always look to people with all of these fancy degrees, right? That read out a book to come and give we, or we gotta bring them in from a foreign country. When people may be suggesting things by common sense.
Correct.
So
Experience.
and then we bring these things. You understand? We bring these things and want to make the people feel, oh, you talking in technical language. That's like a doctor talking to a patient until he got spinal injuries from the back, from the foot. I would be like, "Doc, just tell me I got back problems."
All right, going back to what you mentioned, Kimar, regarding redirecting the water and what's not. I can tell you, I lived in Bagatelle for a few years before,
Yeah.
and Bagatelle in Nigeria had issue with attaining water. The problem that I had in Bagatelle was to get the water in Bagatelle. So, for example, you had many occasions whereas the water redirected or somewhat, and when 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, the water come on. But by the time the water come on, that's already people sleeping.
Yes.
And then by the time I get back up at 6, 5, 7
You can't
o'clock,
function.
the water off.
Right.
So the time that I turned on water wasn't really feasible or made sense for people to actually collect water.
They
So
had
the whole
a
issue of
discussion with-
scheduling
Let
is
me let me
important.
tell you all how I had to get water. I had to call somebody. To call somebody at Water Authority.
To call
To
someone.
send a truck to my house.
Wow.
To
Seriously?
my house.
Big boy.
Got connection,
to get
big
me,
boy.
To
Big
get
boy.
me water. And I had to do that more than once.
Andre, you can do that?
Why I would say though, because then he's also pointing out to some of the customer service issues with the Barbados Water Authority,
Yeah.
and the need to
It's a problem, one of the problem because the truck used to pass in Bagatelle, but used to pass and go up to the road above, never pass through my particular road. And that's where I had to call the truck and get the truck there. So I was like, okay, how is it you come in the community that ain't got no water? You want to go in certain places, but ain't going the next. So there are issues.
Where's Mangrove?
Right, that's it.
That's it,
Philip.
Philip.
I remember there was a time I had a water issue in my area. I live around the Dayton Griffith area, and the truck was coming, and we had water. I said, well, they need to be filled up or whatever. I hear the truck, not Mangrove, I hear the truck had to go somewhere as far as like going to St. Lucie side, up that side for water. Somewhere, the truck man tell me he had to go. So he had to go somewhere up in St. Lucie side for water. He can't come back down now. So you know, I understand these challenges with these things. But one of my biggest challenges is we talked about it earlier with this scheduling of water. We saw that trucks were brought in to bring water. I personally believe that water should be moving every hour in this country to the people in St. John, St. George, and by the hour.
But you know,
but what would help with that? But what would help with that?
I live in King Garden Park, right? And they're out by me.
Starkey, please. I don't say you give me your address by TV.
No, yes, you can stop me if you want. I don't care. Out by me, there is a where they actually collect the water from, catch the water from, and I can tell you that whenever I pass at that junction there to go to my gap, the water authority trucks are there, and sometimes they're like 2 and 3 parked up, and they're constantly refilling. So I can only assume that those trucks are going to both St. John and St. Joseph. And this is all during the day.
Correct. But what I want to add, sorry, what I wanted to add then is that it goes back to some points that were raised by Andre and also confirmed by some of the comments that we see on the live.
Yeah.
What people are agreeing with is that the whole issue of personal tanks is a good one, as well as community tanks. Because once you can fill up, once the trucks can go up in a day, I mean as a temporary measure, because at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is to have water coming through the pipes.
Definitely.
But if the trucks can go out during the day and into evening time, replenish the personal tanks of residents and also the community tanks, I would think that for the following morning or so, people at least can start the day with water that would have been stored, so that they can do what they have to do.
That's what I said.
Don't jump again. Right. I want to bring up the issue of the government actually removing stamp pipes from out to the communities.
Yeah, someone actually mentioned that.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that.
Yeah.
Also, we have Lisa Moore saying that
You could definitely read the DLP thing.
She made about it.
I connect to
Go
what
ahead,
I'm saying.
sir.
It said the problem is that there are too many
been
people
there.
intellectualizing
This water issue.
The people have more common sense in dealing with this issue than all of them.
We said that.
Agreed.
We put that together. We agree.
However, though, what I found is that under this so-called science, people may have PhDs in water management.
Yeah.
And effective water management might suggest to us, well, kind of shut off the water from St. John and channel it to somewhere else temporarily. And we will give St. John water once every couple of months because it is cost effective to be able to do it to the Barbados Water Authority.
Yeah.
Also, I have heard that water is being sold to cruise ships in the island.
But not no.
Well,
All gone?
No, they're the passengers.
They cruise.
The crew.
So they got 1,000 crew, 2,000 crew.
What I'm saying is, right now, not saying that the cruise ships don't deserve water, but realistically, the people of Barbados deserve water first before you should consider selling water to cruise ships.
I won't support that statement in that sense.
What? So you will put
meaning that like we can't. I don't want to get into weighing who deserve it more because water is a commodity, essential. So I would not like to say that the people on the thing don't deserve water or we deserve more. I think that St. John should be getting water, hands down, and we should got enough to sell to the people.
And based upon the tourism sector regarding the cruising passengers and the cruises, I think we have contracts in place. So if you want to decide to don't give tourists the cruises water to get St. John's,
but they ain't gonna home port. They need to get the water.
Yeah, but I don't think we can win. Whether or not they have base or not.
What we need to make sure is that we have sufficient water
correct.
Barbados that everybody can get.
Yeah, everybody.
If you cannot do that, then you cannot reach your full
but
economic.
regarding the solution,
is the Democratic Labour Party willing to? Because this is a humanitarian issue. You are a representative of the Democratic Labour Party. You are the spokesman on environmental issues, right?
Agriculture.
And environment.
Right. At this time, with this issue, is the Democratic Labour Party willing to partner with the government to find solutions so that you can help the people of St. John? Because that is what's important. the
Yes.
people of St. John.
Yes, we are.
Well,
because
President
it-
is sitting on a
because
committee, so
it is
Prime
not a
Minister is all
political
inclusive.
issue.
Prime Minister is all
That's the thing, you
inclusive.
see. Andre, get Andre a chance to repeat that.
Andre,
Andre, say that again. No, let's say that. Andre, say it again.
Chinese solutions to Chris. So Chris, they pass.
No, we don't gonna do that. We ain't gonna do that. Andre said the point that's
but
not.
it
This is not a political issue.
political issue.
Yeah.
When I went around to get the petition signed,
Yeah.
person signed it who support the Barbados Labour Party and who support the Democratic Labour Party, because at the end of the day, everybody's interest is getting water.
As you can
Right,
see,
so-
but-
beat and deep version.
But the
of
play,
it.
but the play devil's advocate here.
When they got consultants to put up in St. John,
Wait, anyhow, to play devil's advocate here, Andre, I'm wondering. Well, I am not big on petition. I'm not one of these people that are really big. Like, I don't really see them doing that, especially in Barbados.
It mobilizes people.
Yeah, but it
mobilizes
mobilizes and then
people.
it don't. You can't do anything. I mean,
He said he
I
got water
remember.
come
I
out,
remember.
water come
I
out
remember certain parties doing petition and went up to government house and was turned back. So I mean, they don't really do anything. But anyhow, the whole idea is that you are the one championing the petition. It looks, and let's go. Barbadians seemingly do perception greater than reality.
Yeah.
And we think that, but you championing it, you could it seems rather to even me political. Well, it is in favor of the people in St. John.
Yeah.
The whole idea of it being political because of your political ambition,
But you know,
or
we must-
because
we
of
must
your
talk
thing.
about the
So
politics.
people may say, well, look, you looking to run in St. John in the next election, so you're doing that because of this. What do you have to say to that? Because we want to deal with that as well. 'Cause it has some comments earlier that say, oh, you just vote yourself, or you just vote your politics. People can see.
Okay. Now, to answer that question, and to be honest, there were a few people who disgusted me with that they could be so narrow-minded to think that an issue like this is only about politics. I live in a community where I have been suffering with no water. I say that I need to also help myself and help the persons living around me, and then by way of extension, because other persons in other areas are suffering with the same problem.
Yeah.
Okay, you need, in order for, because reality is that our system, unless you bring attention to it, nothing will be done. It's going to be kicked under the carpet. You're going to be told you can wait, you can do this and everything. So the whole idea of the petition is because we need to keep noise for this, because we have been suffering in silence, and most of Barbados thought that our water issues were resolved until Denisha did her video last week. And I didn't tell her to do the video or anything of that sort.
Well, you know Denisha.
I know
I
her
don't know
after she did the video, but I know her family from before.
Okay.
Understood? And not in politics or anything like that. But I met her on Saturday when we went into that area for the first time. But she did her video because she had a genuine concern. And just because I am associated with a political party, you mean to tell me that if somebody dropped something on my toe, that I'm not to say ouch? For some people to say it's political?
But
Yeah, right. It's true. It's
persons
true.
were also calling, why didn't you push the petition
And he addressed?
in the time of the Democratic
And I
Party?
addressed that
You
already,
addressed
and
it-
you
addressed
seem
it
not
earlier.
to be getting.
I
the
just remember my
same
question.
issue did not exist at that time.
To this
But
magnitude.
it did.
This magnitude.
But it existed in St. Joseph and other parishes in Barbados.
But that's
Even
what
Sir
I said.
Joseph was worse.
But
At
that's what I
one point.
Why did you not defend the
Because
people of
he ain't living
St.
St. John.
St.
Because
John.
Stop, Jeremy.
Living in St. John is one thing, but
But
you were in
Jeremy,
our house.
you going on
Fair
another
enough.
problem. I just want to add though, regarding the solutions, there's a problem in Barbados with wastage of water.
Yeah.
Right, we talked about
And the problem comes a lot from our kitchen taps. And
Leaks.
one of the solutions could be, I'm talking about leaks.
No.
One of the solutions could also be,
No.
there's some pipes that I know that when you run them, even bathroom as well, the water just come out gushing.
So you need certain
There's
pipes.
some pipes that I know that you could get a little thing and screw inside the tap itself,
To limit the water.
and to obviously mess
Filter
with
the
bubbles,
water.
yeah,
Flow.
and the
Filter
water,
the water.
flows differently. You get the same amount of pressure, water's not, but it's not full water.
But
it's
we-
not
Volume,
like
the
here.
volume.
Yeah, and I think that's something that a program should be put in place.
But no, we could
to
we could get sensor lights too. You know, we could get
that
sensor
as well.
that when you go and wash your hand when you're done. Because I remember one time I was I hope my wife don't kill me.
But though that's an expensive ploy.
Not necessarily,
no.
not necessarily because.
You ask people to chill.
Listen, I remember one time. Listen, I remember one time my wife
Been a
was
sensor?
in the bathroom brushing her teeth, and it was like, and I could hear the water running, and it was like, good lord, boy.
You remember touching on it?
And he shut off the water and brush your teeth, and then turn it back on. Cause that's how it started. So I know that in some cases people don't care because the water running. Like for
Habit.
me, my mother used to say, get the water come down, then turn off the water, rub your skin, turn it back on, and then get on the shower. That's how we were taught. So I don't let my water.
I got observation to make, right?
Mm.
You asked Andrea about representing the issue with the water in St. John, and
It was a question.
right, and his a political affiliation, right?
Yeah.
If you are fair, you gotta ask Dale Marshall that question too.
What about that? I don't ask.
He was a champion for water in St. Joseph when the dams were in,
Mm-hmm.
But they don't live in St. Joseph.
and
But he was the MP.
but he's the MP, and St. Joseph still didn't get water. No. So if you want to be fair, right?
So then we gotta hope that he's successful.
Secondly, right, what I found is that the way that persons have given the current prime minister, right, in politicizing issues like water,
Yeah.
you are not affording other people the opportunity to represent issues without saying it's political, right?
By
Because
Jordan-
when,
sorry.
because when the NSR was on and Labour marched with capital, nobody accused Miss Motley of being political and trying to be prime minister.
But
So how is it
Barbara
fair?
marched.
But how is it fair? How is it
Yeah,
fair
people
for you
went,
to come and do
people
it? The
came out.
average citizens know, but you
True.
don't want to.
Especially for a man living in the consistency.
Yeah, he live in St. John.
Fair.
Barry Jack is
But
that, Barry Jordan is asking, you can answer this. So hang on, Barry Jordan, sorry. Water that goes in the well don't get back into the system.
Go ask
Which
water.
water?
I think he means the well that the water in we wells at home. I don't think it's gonna be.
I don't think so either.
I don't think that, I don't even say let me probably be dreaming if I say connect it to the main because it might only get some sewage up in there.
But going back to what
The money.
Manny was saying, because remember that this drought is also happening in places like California and in Australia. And I love to watch BBC World. And a couple months ago, they were discussing how they were dealing with the drought in Australia. So this one woman said that what she does is that she have to bathe with a bucket type system, but she has it suspended so that the water will come down. And she stands in another bucket so that
The water catches, the
Yes.
water reuse.
and then
The
she
waste
would
water.
put that water
Our rough toilet.
into her toilet. Those
Wow.
are things that we need to start doing because when I take my bucket bath, any water that's left, I put it into the tank that it can be used to flush the toilet.
But you
And
filter
then-
that water.
Huh?
Put it on. You feel
In
not
the tank.
filters on the
In the tank.
But you know that I'm surprised that when you guys started this program with the tanks,
To flush the toilet.
I know, but the water could have been filtered to use again
In the tank.
in the tank. But I had to get mine late
But
because
that's
I put
a
on
big
mine.
cost. That's a big cost.
No, it wasn't. I don't
Sure.
know. It's not.
Filter the pump.
It wasn't.
You know
No.
which tank I mean though?
You mean
You
the
mean
cistern for
the
the toilet?
cistern?
It's a cistern for the
Right,
toilet.
yeah.
You say, put it back in the back.
Yes. and
Oh.
yes.
So therefore,
System
then
toilet.
So
it
there's
should,
only-
it should be a way for like the bathroom water to be captured and then run
Shower.
through a system to go back inside the
Right,
the
yeah,
toilet,
what,
the toilet
right,
tank.
what you're
wait,
talking
say-
Yeah, wait,
about,
talk
that
about.
should be done, all of that water should go through a filter and
Yeah.
go back into
Well,
So
it.
that means our wastage should be hooked up then to our tanks,
So then-
our
so
additional
therefore-
tank,
Special tank.
a special tank. Which one?
So then I can make the point that the government of Barbados could spend more time on issues like that than passing legislation restricting people going into houses unless they get an engineer to certify this.
Oh, good
And it
Lord.
would
That bill was
also-
put on
It would
hold.
also
Well,
create
well.
some jobs in Barbados as
Jobs,
well,
plumbers and
because
so on.
then if you give the incentive for persons to change their plumbing,
Mhm.
right, it will create some small jobs in Barbados with people
Thanks.
first developing the plumbing structure and stuff like that, so that you can have the water
Janelle, can you rear
running
butts?
from
She got
the
Janelle King.
shower into a filtered
Yeah.
filter and then tank and then
Sure.
back into the
Alright.
Oh, here's
Sorry,
some.
say that
Wait, hold on,
I
Janelle.
mentioned here that water goes in the earth, then the aquifers, then back into the water system. It just takes a long time.
Very long
Janelle Keane
time.
also mentioned
She got some points here.
the main points coming out was one, equitable distribution / load balancing amongst all based on a published schedule and through prior communication to residents so that they will know the time
Yes.
to water.
It's a very long time.
So they will know, right? So we know
Go
the
ahead,
times water
Simon.
will be on and off in the area, and they can plan adequately. 2,
Implement
the personal tanks
for
program.
affected areas and residents offset by some of the money paid into Barbados Water Authority. 3, ensure the standpipes are working in affected areas.
Yes.
And
Lama
community
standpipe.
tanks are filled on a published schedule ahead of time. 4, tap
There's a lot
into
of
the
comments.
springs and Covington College. Implement a system where when tanks are installed, rainwater harvesting can also be implemented for flushing of toilets, etc. Medium-term work on desalination plant.
Yeah.
The gentleman there was mentioning something about allowing residents to invest in capital works projects through bonds. I didn't fully hear that one. Can you say that again?
Janelle King, you should be a consultant.
Yeah, but Janelle can't be more to be our executive secretary, man.
That was me mentioning the part about the bonds. Right. I was suggesting, Janelle, that as opposed to using the bonds to invest in like more hotels or
Roads.
or
They
roads.
said capital works projects.
So what's a capital works
You're
project?
saying roads, but they're not going to invest in money in hotels.
Alright. Right. So my point is that we could use the boss initiative to effectively tackle the water issue in St. John.
Yeah.
I think that it will have a greater effect across many issues. So it will definitely tackle the water issue. It will definitely provide jobs for persons who are looking for work. I think it could create great opportunities for innovation and entrepreneurship through the Water Authority. And I also think that it could come up with a new financing model for the entity because the entity is currently under a lot of scrutiny from the IMF program about how it's effectively managed. So I think that we need to pay some
Plus,
attention
it is
to
under strain financially because the Water Authority wells, it pays out probably $10 million. It only gets about 6 because of the contracts entered to by the past government. And I must add that.
I thought that we had passed that stage.
Yeah, that's part of it.
And that we were into a constructive discussion on how
But that is
I
constructive.
want to add here. I know you mentioned about. I know there's this issue also about. Okay, a person's not having water, but then there's a bill. I don't know if you want to be open with the public and state how much your water bill was for last month, so that the public would get a better idea of how much they're charging you, although you're not getting any water.
Before Andrew, you speak to that too.
Also,
Ask the question,
about I heard mention in the town hall meeting about there's a fee charge regardless if you get water or not. I know personally with a service like Flow, if my phone ain't working, my internet ain't working, my TV ain't working, I ain't paying you 1 red cent if it's about a month. I ain't caring about no minimum payment fee, nothing so. We know it works with like the power because although we're not use the electricity, it's still supplied, and you have to pay for obviously the meter what's not. What's this minimum payment fee I'm hearing? As I said, what's your water bill? And we want to know.
I can give you an
we'll
example, and that's one of the reasons why we did the petition.
Yeah.
Because for me, everybody in St. John would have received a water bill. It was for 62 days, 2 months, and it was a red bill, and the charge for water,
disconnection.
due for disconnection on top, and the charge for water was $61. That is in one instance. For other people, it would be more based on what their average payment.
The garbage and sewage tax
That is not included in that. So that $61 has
It's
nothing
base,
to
that's
do with the garbage contribution or the sewage contribution.
Right. Okay.
That's just the charge for water, and the $61 is based on the person's average water usage.
Okay.
Now, the minimum. My bill normally comes for the minimum charge, which is roughly about $31 on a monthly basis. When I get water, that's how much it would be. And even now that I'm not getting water, for a month it would be like that $31 or so. So,
But let me ask you a question. Why do
I'm
you
saying
pay?
no. Well, I still pay the bill because at the end of the day, let me just say, because you don't want that when the water comes back and you have these arrears, a bill for $1,000 and stuff like that, you don't want to have to pay that bill disconnected and then
Okay. No. There's what I mean. The man just used the analogy that, and I feel the same way when they had the COVID time, and I could not get the curfew, and I could not get to digital to pay my bill. and judicial lock off my bill, not because I did not try to get there, but the places were shutting, the online system was crashing. I make a big noise about it on Facebook. And I refuse to have digital as a service if they did not turn back on my phone immediately. Right? So I'm just saying that if you not getting the water, you cannot tell me then that I should pay. And that is where the petition, and that is where the strong, because you said something to me which was important. When the town hall meeting happened, all of a sudden parts start getting water.
So it means our parts could get water.
So parts, I don't know. But if then you are paying for something you are not getting, that means the petition should be, I ain't paying because I ain't get, and I don't think that the government would. I'm not saying hold the government to ransom, but fear is fear.
Mr. Mwanza said yesterday at the town hall meeting that not paying the water bills will not be fair because there's still a cost attached to getting the water through the tanks.
But they're gonna do them
too. Just hold on. I just repeating what he said. I ain't agreeing with his point or anything. He said that the water still needs to be transported to the community, and water authority still has expenses to.
So basic operating fee.
But the people ain't getting water.
The point is though,
everybody not getting water still.
The Barbados Water Authority comes under the Fair Trading Commission from January 2018, right? And under that, the Barbados Water Authority Standards of Services 2018 to 2020 by the Fair Trading Commission. They have a right, they're expected to supply their customers with 8 cubic meters minimum of water.
Discussion because
all right.
You
said so every week.
On the water panel as well.
Okay, fair enough.
Good.
Fair enough. You keep quiet then.
Say John called Jermaine back for
Yeah, so because you're going to help one of them.
Exactly. Because that's the point. Because
Somebody mentioned here that the Fair Trading Commission should be advocating for a credit
on behalf of these
consumers. Exactly. That is why the petition was done, because it shows that for 62 days, 0 usage, but we got a bill for $61.
But yet you
They're
pay.
supposed no. Yes, so we are petitioning them because the way how it works is that you petition you write to the Water Authority to request
or the Fair Trading
your
Commission
credit, and then the Fair Trading Commission follows up on it to make sure.
But you have to make a complaint within the
Water Authority.
It is the manual process, meaning that you have to trigger it. But the trigger starts by when the customer writes the Water Authority to request it.
Know that you write.
Of the Fair Trading Commission is supposed to be monitoring
That's
them.
why I will write the Fair Trading there, right?
Of course, the same level going to
I want to mention that scenario because while we were here, I get some information from a resident up in here in St. John, and I can tell you for a fact that their water bill is roughly average of $83 a month.
Right, that's what the average.
Now I can tell you that with this particular person, the water goes off around 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock midday. Never, and I'm up there very often, and never have I seen a water truck in Hill.
And he got contacts to call the water authority, and then call for this girl.
Luckily enough, they have a tank.
You installed that?
Every time that I pass, I usually see the water truck by the road that is by St. John Polyclinic, and never have I seen a truck down in Hill. As I said, luckily that they have a water tank.
So
but
that probably
11 o'clock, 12 o'clock midday, the water off, and then come back on to probably early in the morning or late night time.
But one of the things that's killed me, right?
I
remember when those tanks, right? I could tell you, boy. St. John, I know feeling you. Here's the thing. Those tanks ain't no relief. Because if you got 5 people living in your home, flushing, bathing, and in a day, that water gone. I remember when we had the outage.
Which tanks not relief?
The water tanks won't. Yeah, they're only about 400. 400, the ones I get 400. But what I'm saying is when my water was out, right? The water was out for a couple of days. Because I got 5 people living in my house, and 2 of them is 2 and 4 year old. You flushing, you washing, you do, and the water gone, and then the same day that water gone, and you think that you will do? Well, I do nothing, and the water just disappears. So their water tanks ain't much relief for the people.
2 points. First, I can address.
You got what before with that?
I wouldn't say that they aren't relief because you just mentioned that you got 5 persons. There's not people that actually live in the house by themselves or just with them and the partner.
Well,
There's 2 persons.
right, but
So it's some kind of
But
relief.
Barbados is known for extended families or extended
But it's some
households.
kind of relief.
But the persons
So I
I feel
want
for
to-
are the elderly people who obviously
True.
getting water.
Like that lady that
They
can't walk,
be
that
able-
92-year-old woman, boy.
So let me.
Keep my
so I
point
want to
there.
take this question from Barry Jordan,
Yeah.
and then I want me.
You taking all your dance, man?
I don't know.
Barry's in there.
So does
I
it
just
mean that
joking.
the financing of the BWA's daily operations is flawed if it has to mainly depend on the contributions from the payments to function?
And the sewage levy.
Yeah, well, that's the case with the taxes. We're not collecting enough taxes to be able to fund.
You advocating for more
No, I
taxes?
think
No, I'm
so.
not. I'm not.
I think-
necessarily,
Where is the allocation of taxes, privatization?
Y'all can answer. Y'all can answer
Yeah,
after.
yeah,
But
love it.
my next observation would be in River Plantation. This is in St. Philip.
Don't even get here, boy.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I got the water.
It doesn't.
But there, I can tell you what.
I had a
because
farm
it's
in river, I had to run from a river.
Wait, this is a natural. There's a natural water stream running through the river plantation.
For a particular,
right?
Yeah.
for a
When you
particular-
walk and go up the stream right up to the top, when you get there, the stream is dammed off, and if you come on a Sunday, you will see people doing sport shooting and driving boats on the water. Meanwhile, all of the farmers
And
downstream
listen, that is a
stru-
private, I'm not without water.
struggling to get water. No,
This is the
if it is that
Yeah, I might as well build that on me.
Yeah,
even if it is
I
that
think-
residents could have a. This is a
That's-
natural flow of water that's not
I think that's-
originating on.
I don't think it's we water.
But wait, no.
What do you mean it's
wait,
water?
wait.
But no, but
Private
that
land.
is people's
The
water.
person
Water
had
is not
blocked it off,
originating
okay.
on the gentleman's
Man.
land.
It passing through.
It passing
He's
through.
dominant. And he's dominant.
And I do not think that.
That was in the paper.
But I don't think that residents or persons, private persons, should have the ability
To dam water.
to dam water.
I agree.
Not
That does
especially
not
for
originate
commercials
on
in
your
their
property because you are affecting all
It
of
passes
those
downstream.
farmers
I think too that you may also be able to check. Well, I am not the Attorney General, so I can't say that I know this for a fact in the Water Authority legislation. But I know for a fact that on the groundwater
Yeah.
is that the Water Authority has first control over that.
Yeah.
So even if you live someplace and you find on the water on the ground, that the plantations, the Water Authority has control over that. They can say to the plantation, like, hey, we need this water to supply to people. I do not know if the same exists, if the law extends to water that is above.
Somebody said leave out that is a spring.
I think that issue with River though that you mentioned is one of the reasons why the last houses that the Democratic Party would have built up in Riverland is the reason why to this day that haven't been
occupied.
Because I have heard about a water issue. The probably same that you talk with the guy.
I had
Yeah.
farm opinion. I told you we even put in a man from the Barbados Water Authority
What
to thing, and we had to run because it
You
had
know water?
Well,
wasn't getting no
actually,
water.
someone just
Beer
sent here
drop.
chapter 283.
Cap, yeah.
So I am assuming
Chapter
that this is
283.
in response to your point.
And what does it say?
Can you
Shalane,
elaborate more,
Shalane,
Shalane Searles?
Now can we look at Cat 283 and see what that is?
Let you send it better.
Send it.
Just while they're looking for it, guys, we just want to thank you for the viewing, the comments. We really enjoy. We really enjoy having you guys.
And we weren't too combative. We weren't too combative.
I
This show, right?
did. My
I don't
computer
think
did.
we were.
So
We were heated.
that was at 100 about that.
We had some heated discussion, but we weren't
No,
combative.
discussion is always good. I don't know why people would always cry down discussion. Discussion is always good.
Well, you see the
And
components,
this is the first time I personally have had the opportunity to exchange with Mr. Worrell, so you know, and that is good.
Political heavyweight from the Democratic Party.
Correct, you know, a future candidate to be
That's
side.
right.
So you know, it's
more
always
than
good,
50%
and that's what the show is about: a conversation.
Correct.
Bring it. We would have come to solution.
So,
Want
Mr.
some
Worrell,
bees, man,
Mr.
want some
Worrell, I
bees.
want to say this to you. When you become a member of parliament, I want you
Did you
to...
campaign manager?
No, I'm not.
That's
Hold on.
good.
I am saying this openly. When you become a
Oh,
member
you know
of
you can
parliament,
become a member of parliament.
I do not
He
want
has
you
a-
to think that
crystal
shows
ball.
like debrief.
Or below, beneath
below
you.
you.
Or below you, correct.
You know, you must know that you must still be party to the people who actually elected you.
That's right.
Of course.
Right, and I just want to say that we
Never
did
got the
invite members of the Barbados Water Authority to be here. We did invite other persons from the Barbados Liberal Party also to be
And they
here.
refuse to come.
And they are not here today. As I said, people had difficulties. I never ever say why people are not here. But I'm just saying. But
We welcome everyone.
we are going to wrap up shortly.
Also, our water drive continues in St. John. this Saturday, we were out donating water to the residents affected. I saw some persons saying that they did not get any water, so we are appealing to the public.
So you like the Barbados Water Authority? You can't assist all.
He's the new Water Warriors. That Water Warriors before the new Water Warriors.
Have an opportunity.
Go ahead.
You're appealing to
New
persons
Water
to
Warriors.
donate to the cause. If any persons have any connections to the current P telling you like a container full of water, that we could go out and
gotta bring that first,
because
right
Well, you can
residents are
ask
complaining
Kimar
and
here
saying-
to, reinvigorate his posse from 2017 because
Yes.
they can't understand why
Back
they
up the
stopped.
Oh, my water
So you
gone.
can
Need some water.
bring the water.
Yeah, so we need all
My
possible
portfolio
donations.
has risen.
Your portfolio has risen. I was taking away from you.
Never, I know. I'm never averse to helping people with water, and I'd be happy to provide.
I will readily offer my assistance and come in.
No, we give water. People want a damn assistance. People want water.
Few more water.
Yeah, because it's a general, it's a general,
Thank you, Julian.
and in terms of the water, if you could bring like buckets as well that you can assist people, things that they
Clean
can
buckets,
reuse, to capture water from the
Gallon
tanks and the
bottles.
tankers and the big.
Well, just let me
bottles.
on that bucket. Just let you know that normally I think like Popular Discount and those
Sell
do
buckets.
sell the salt meat bucket for $1.50.
You can ask for donation from Popular for the buckets. Because
Yes.
I don't think that Mr. Hall will be averse to giving people in St. John free buckets.
Yeah, I mean, but
Maybe
anyhow,
people open
any
it for
Popular, I
water.
think any Popular, any Jordans, because normally when we want to buy them, we just run over and ask for them or sometimes. So they already salt meat buckets, the tall salt meat buckets that
So,
you can
Mr.
get.
Safri, you're saying that you're willing to use your good connections to assist us for Saturday?
Listen,
I'm not. It is a humanitarian cause.
Humanitarian issue, and I can tell you, for
Very
me
good,
personally,
very
I
good.
still
I
got
am
my
willing-
shirts.
Just tell me how much water. Just tell me what sort of water you want.
I said how
And
much.
I am, no, not how much, because
So that
It's my man.
St. John calls Jeremy Beckford.
I am
Water.
willing to donate some cases.
That's so good, man.
We
But you see,
appreciate
guys,
it.
but see, ladies and gentlemen, this is what the debrief show is about. Yeah, we might debate heavily and we might quarrel and so on. Not quarrel, but let's get heated discussion.
Passion is
And,
always
you know,
good.
and exchange a couple words, little pips. By the end of the day, it's always solution driven, right? The man.
Yeah, we will get to solutions.
So,
Very solution
So
driven.
me and Kimar are gonna donate water and buckets for Saturday.
The money has a
Thank
pickup.
you.
You can probably
And the
just put
money
them on
you
the
you
pickup.
willing to use the pickup to help
That lovely pickup you got.
the team.
That says
That's
always
that's
in
6 speed
St.
auto.
John.
So, yeah, he always
for
in here,
reason.
so like-
But apparently, he always in the pot. I got water. I just
Okay, the money where your girl live.
seriously. But anyhow, we would help the debrief as a team. As a team, despite a political affiliation, I always tell people. I mean, I work in a way of humanitarian every single day with the homeless.
Right.
And I see people coming here and give the RRB, DE, and FGNP. So when it comes to me as an individual willing to give back, I don't care what party you belong to. I could see my political.
Janelle King just said her water just came back on.
Yeah, that's good, Janelle. Good.
All right.
If I could see,
The right people watching.
and I think this is where we miss it too, you know. If we could see Miss Motley as the Prime Minister of Barbados pulling pun like the Democratic Labour Party former Minister of Finance to put him on a
Right,
huge
correct,
committee,
correct.
why then we can't come together as smaller fish in this bucket as it relates to- and work together?
Correct.
So it's for me, we cannot politicize this. If you see me out with Simon or you see me out with Andre, we can't come and say, oh, I go on B or he go on D. The point is,
Selfish.
we are looking at a solution. We are giving
help the people
a
of St.
problem.
John.
We are helping the people of St. John.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to go in my numbers. I'm willing to give whatever water I have to help to support the people.
With that said, and speaking about cooperation, I would hope that Mr. Sinclair would be so kind to cooperate with the government and assist them in finding these mismanaged funds.
I don't know what you're talking
You
about.
had to say that.
Strike that for the minutes. Strike that for the minutes.
Mr. Speaker, we will not.
Strike that for the minutes.
But ending on a good note, people, we encourage you to continue watching the show.
Correct.
Continue to support wherever you can for St. John. The Democratic Labour Party members, both Kimar and Andrea, have taken on the water plight up there. Give them if you have to give them, you know, whatever you could do for St. John. It's bigger than us, it's bigger than me, it's bigger than you.
That's right.
If we were in the position, we won't care if it is the enemy that come and help. We will take the help because it's such a dire situation.
That's right.
And we really, really need to give. Andrea, do you want to have any final word before we leave?
Right. Well, just to reiterate that we really want the Barbados Water Authority to focus on the solution, the short-term solution, as was supported by many persons who've been watching the show. The personal thanks to the persons who are badly affected. Working out a better schedule for the tankers. Long-term, investing in the desalination plant because we cannot control rainfall. Right? Because at the end of the day, water is integral to the social and economic development of this country, and you cannot put a price on the health of the people of this country.
Somebody asked who is running for St. John, Kimar or Andre?
It'll be Andre.
Anybody
The homegrown boy.
Anybody want to answer that before we close off? Or?
Let me just keep it on the focus. The topic tonight is water.
Andre, will you promise when you have announced your candidacy or you're being selected, because I know your process is selection rather than election, would you be welcome to will you be willing to come back on the show?
Of course, I'll be willing to come back. We can talk at anything.
Good, right, good. Okay. So Barbados, encouraging you, wherever you can, go to the supermarket, buy a bottle of water, those big gallons, not those small ones, and give it to somebody in St. John, give it to somebody that is doing it. I know David Davis, I don't know if they're coming back up with the Water Warriors. I think there's a bunch of girls that is doing it too. I can't remember within Water Girls or something like that. So I would like that you guys support. I don't think that this time is one where we can really play the fool in terms of whatever. It is in desperate need. We are in some serious times. COVID, people jobless. Half the population of working class people are jobless people. Wherever you can give. We as a DeBrief team will give. We will support however we can. And what are you?
I just want to ask the people you can check on Men's Empowerment Network support on Facebook. They will have a discussion on Thursday night for 7 o'clock, and they will be discussing men and emotional abuse. Then on next week, Tuesday, here on the DeBrief, we will have Fabian Surgeon and another guest, and they will be speaking about suicide, because recently we have been having a few suicides by men. It is alleged that we had one recently.
That's right.
So we find that this is a very important topic socially to discuss, because it is seen to be pushed under the back burner, and men is in crisis. We need to deal with this issue.
Correct. And I think next we're also going to have the young people coming in from the political parties. So we have a number of people calling us, begging us to come on the show. We're getting the likes, we're getting the hits. We thank you very much. Moving from 20 now to over 100 plus views, coming off with thousands of engagement. I think we up to 10,000 in the last show engagement. People, we want to thank you. We can never do it without you. Share, like, I would encourage you to go like our page so you know when we are live. So if you want to come on to the show, let us know, call us. If you also have a business that you want to be able to highlight on the show, we've been getting some call from some major companies now asking to be sponsors on the show. So we are going places, we are doing things. Again, we are from different political parties, some of us. Independent like myself. You know. In 1966, right?
You wasn't in third vice chairman in the BLP.
Lord. Yeah.
Are you the president of Young Democrats?
But at the end of the day, we are DeBrief. So we want to thank you. Have a good night. Whatever you do it positive. Help somebody. Share somebody. Until next week at 6 o'clock, between 6 o'clock, 6:30. 6:30, because technical difficulties at time. We will bring you the next DeBrief show. Please like the page, share the thing, subscribe. I see Irene Garner still throwing darts at this time. We always welcome you, Miss Garner.
We love you, Irene.
To keep the show going. So we want to thank everybody. Have a blessed and wonderful night. God bless everybody.